We needed an apostrophe for full reserve. I didn't know what full reserve meant to look that up.
I'll put your email there and
Water that
I
had
can use
material in
it.
there.
I mean, I'll have to look again.
Or that's gotta be this.
I read it.
Yep.
I wonder if you're being blocked because it's Gmail or something like that.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a difference.
If you don't mind, I just,
You've always gotten them before.
I know, just recently I haven't been getting them, and I'm like, just wondering why.
Huh.
We have one time, but yeah, we don't have a person to do that. But yeah, overall, I didn't see. Well, that was really boring reading it. You said you should try writing it.
That seemed like a long time.
Morning, Mike.
Morning. How is everyone?
Good.
I do. Should they sign this?
Sure.
Because she's gonna use ours.
What is that?
Actually, it's, no, my belt, I'm on my lap now. I think that's something, that's a bad.
Oh, there's-
I think I saw one of you had, did you get a book from somebody about, yeah, that one there. Carbon neutral. I read the parts that talked about government, it was all right.
I just got it this morning, so
Steve, 2490 South Timberland Drive.
that's all.
Next is?
Guy obviously doesn't know me, he addressed it to the honorable Costello.
I would like that.
Pretty sure it's paid, but yeah.
At least I'm honorable on paper a couple times a year.
Right.
Oh, wow, it's kind of scary.
We're dead.
Construction union. Recession people.
So what's this, bad or not?
No, this.
You're good?
Yeah.
I'm good. This one's stuck.
All right, good morning, everyone. We'll start the November 21st, 2022 Bush County Commissioners meeting. And we'll begin with the pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's start with the highway department. Mr. Steve Bird first, please.
Turn my phone down here. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, sir.
Okay, just as a reminder for the public, holiday hours for the sanitation sites, Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve both occur on Saturday this year, and all sites are open during that day. Holiday hours for these sites will be from 8 a.m. until noon on Saturday, December the 24th, and on Saturday, December 31st. So I'll probably bring this up a couple times just to make sure it gets out and everybody's aware of it.
Sounds good to me.
Okay. Next item up, we're needing to order 300,000 sanitation stickers again for the year. We've asked for 3 quotes to place the order. We was printing, got one and they didn't respond with a price. Waste Zero submitted a price of $8,025, which included freight. And a company called Trash Stickers Incorporated, who was our supplier from the last time, quoted us $7,500, which also included freight. So we've got money in our budget to cover this. So decided to go ahead and take the low quote of Trash Stickers Incorporated. So.
That sounds good too.
Item 3, District 2 foreman has been selected. After conducting interviews to fill the position, had Marky come in, and basically what we did was a promotion from someone within and moved them up. So we had a discussion as to, why they would be, the best candidate for the job and all that. This person is going to be Keith Kleesner from Du Bois. He's accepted the position. He currently serves as a sanitation driver and will continue in this capacity until December the 30th, where Dave Sheeter's last day will be the 29th. So we'll have a step in there. Keith has had background in construction and running crews and stuff like that before, so he'll be a good fit. He's also going to spend the first week as foreman training in our new sanitation driver. I'll get into that as well. We do have an opening for the sanitation driver. It's currently being advertised for the open position. We'll accept applications for this open position through December the 2nd, and plan to set up interviews for the week of December the 12th. With an anticipated hire date for our new driver to begin on Tuesday, January the 3rd. Okay. So as soon as we get applications in, we'll go through those and we'll start the process and get that going.
Do you believe you're going to have interest in the position?
I sure hope so.
I didn't know if you were having any trouble, or some people are having trouble hiring people. I didn't know if you were having.
We've been fortunate. We've been fortunate. And a lot of the people that we have been hiring have been good people. Just knock on wood, we've been really fortunate.
Again, this is a CDL, local driving position, right?
Do you prefer one of us being on that interview? How have you done that in the past? I haven't been recently. I think you were.
Yeah, Nick had been, and
Were you able to do that? Or?
We talked about it, if we can do them after 4 p.m.
Okay.
I can still do them.
okay. After 4.
Right, well, I get off at 4, so as long as I have
Okay.
time to get there, with 15 minutes or so, I can be there for interviews.
Okay. Next item up, we're opening annual material bids this morning at 10 a.m. So we'll be opening them up, taking them under advisement, and we will come back in December with recommendations on where we're going with those. Okay. And going back to something that we had talked about October the 3rd, we had a potential trade. As I was looking for a dirt loader, we had a potential trade for our 1978 John Deere loader. Had $50,000 appropriated for that purchase. After several demonstrations and a few recurring problems with that trade, just decided not to do it. So we're just going to let the money roll into our budget for next year and try to utilize that towards a dirt loader. So that's something we'll be looking at early next year. So And one more thing here for you. I've got a paving list for 2023 put together. I'd like to get together with each of you sometime and sit down and go over these. The list is also going to include distress road funding projects. This will be our 10th year next year. If we can get the loan paid off early, I think Brent was going to talk with the council. If we can pay the loan off early, submit our application to go ahead and try to get them done maybe this summer. As far as paving, we can include those with our community crossings grant and our regular highway money for 2023. So should be a pretty good year if we can get all that swung and get it done. So, but I'll be in touch with each of you.
So these are your suggested roads for work next year? So he said these are maybe.
Yes, yeah. I don't have the copies for you now, but
Okay.
I'll get together and we'll sit down and go through them. So, outside of that, that's all I've got.
There's a bridge going on in Division.
What's going on? Oh, no, that's about
Oh, that's one of your animals there? Okay.
I did see the email. I think Greg was gonna go check on that.
You talk about the wiring?
Yeah.
I didn't think that had much to do with this, but if it happened on a county road anywhere, I just wanted to, just in case. There's some wires off of utility poles and they were getting in the roads or something, so, but it was on a state highway, so I don't think it has anything to do with us, but.
We've seen that a lot with a certain phone company in the area.
They'll disconnect it and just leave it hanging on a pole?
They tie it up in trees. They'll lay it in the grass and walk away. And I guess they have an intent to come back later, but it sure doesn't look like it because it ends up in our mower and our road graders when we're pulling the shoulders off and call them about it. There's just not much of a response. So
What are those made of? Is there copper in them? Is there any value?
those are copper, and
Seems
I'm
like
sure
they want
I'm sure they would be. Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you for giving it a look, I guess.
Okay.
Okay.
It's a big
Short
one.
week, no work.
I could have talked about this one. I could have. Yeah, save paper. Save paper.
Your report.
Hey, we filed these, come to me.
So I don't have that much, as you can tell. But Safe Streets for All, I don't know what's going on there. I'm gonna do some more investigating. It's kind of, I thought it was supposed to be announced in January, or in November, but I'll figure out what's going on. Custer Road South, the big pipeline project, that one's done. It's sealed up. It's ready to go. The end product turned out very well. A lot slower than I thought it was going to be, but we're done and we're cleaned up for water to go through. So
Got some video through it or something for us?
I don't have. You don't want this going through there. So if you guys would like to, I could probably find a camera crew if you want to see through it, but I'm not too worried about it. I shot a light down through it. It looks sealed up. So
Crawl through too.
I ain't crawling through it.
Nick, you bring your phone down.
Me and my confined spaces don't work very well, so. Okay, now Division Road, that bridge, they finished the demo last week. They were doing some final grading on Friday when I was there to set piles. Hopefully they're driving piles tomorrow. They're supposed to be delivered today. Takes a little time to get the crane and the pile driver set up. So that's today's work. Tomorrow they'll drive piling on the west wall. Then they'll get those piles drove, get that wall out of the water, then they'll go to the east side, do the same thing. So it's moving along. I got no complaints about CLR. They're doing really good right now. So no complaints at all.
You say you're driving, piling that, are they renting, I mean, our crew is building that.
No. Division
No,
is CLR is doing that completely.
Okay, I missed that.
Yeah.
A little longer than.
Yeah, it's a little bit bigger than we can handle due to the water from the Patoka and that Crooked Creek. Yeah, whichever one it is, that water we can't. There's just extra funds that goes out our 250 threshold. we gotta get it out.
Not that I missed it, I just.
Yeah.
Put it on my head for a minute here, I was thinking, are we renting the equipment, or are we contracting the pile driving, but the whole thing is contract.
Right. Our bridge crew is building 2 bridges on 1,000 South off Ferdinand Road Northwest. The abutments are in great shape. So we're taking the old beams off, putting new beams down, and putting the new concrete top on 2 bridges there. That's what they're doing right now. They're actually pouring the deck on the east one today. And tomorrow they will start tearing out the west one. That project's moving along really well too. Cold kind of hurt us. We should have poured the deck on Thursday, but with the freezing temperatures, you can't pour concrete. You know, if it freezes, it's not good for concrete. So these temperatures this week are gonna be a lot better.
Okay.
Anything for me?
Community crossing,
Community
is it
crossing.
December
December 10th. That's all I know.
8th to 10th?
Yeah, that's what I heard. It's a rumor mill going around now.
Well, I got an email from the governor's office, saying it was coming. I forget where that.
Yeah, that's unfortunately, we just wait. You know, we submit them and we wait for them to get it to us. So, but that's what I hear is December 10th.
I don't have anything further.
I don't either.
Thank you. We have the regular meeting from November 7th minutes. Any changes? I'll move that we approve. I'll second. All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Payroll from the same period. I'll move that we approve. All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. And we had some claims against the county. Any changes or concerns with those? Seeing none, I move that we approve as presented. All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Let's try to move through these miscellaneous things as we have time, so we can get out of here at a reasonable time for them. We met last week with a solar farm company. This is Light Source BP. The other one that we met with in Duff was EDP, so this is a different company. They are also looking, they have some land optioned in the Huntingburg area as well.
This is down to the airport.
Yes, across from the airport. So we just had a meeting with them last week, and I think they will be coming back asking for an abatement of some sort. So just wanted to give you a heads up that had a meeting with them. They seem like a fine outfit, I suppose.
What size of a project are they shooting for down there?
They have 1,600 acres optioned, so it'll be about a third of that probably. Maybe a little more than a third of that, just 600 acres.
Is that west of the airport or?
Yes. He handed us a map, but it didn't have the locations that we were talking about on it, but he drew a circle on the map for me. So it would be southwest of the city, Huntingburg, and just west of the airport in that area, between Huntingburg and Holland. So I think that the position I told him,
Green area down there.
position I told him I took was we don't have any rules against it, so I don't necessarily have an opinion on it. If landowners want to do that, it's up to them. Until they start asking for something, then I guess that's what they will ask for something. I think the position we're at now is, well, if you want something, ask for it. We're not gonna make it up for you, so I think that's where they're going to be. Any questions on that? We didn't hear that. His name was Michael Wellman. His contact information, if anybody wants to see it. Light Source BP.
You say they have 1,600 option?
I don't know that for a fact, that's what he told me. Did, Mr. Ramos, did you attend the cybersecurity conversation? Did you say you were gonna attend that?
I didn't.
Oh, you didn't make that? Sandy, did you? How did that go?
Fine.
Did you learn anything that can help the county?
We're doing a lot of what they already had. They talked about the know before, which we're already doing. I don't know if it's House and Old Act or what, 1169, every year we have to appoint, or we have to put in who's the contact, which I put in me so that I can tell them if we ever get attacked or have an issue. Other than that,
Thank you. Abatement committee, speaking of that light source BP, we have an abatement committee in the county. Nick, you've been our representative for that. You want to continue in that role? I suppose at some time in the next 6 months, they're probably gonna have a meeting. You okay with that? Okay. All right, let's go ahead and just, we'll go ahead and get ahead of the schedule a little bit, unless there's positions for anyone on the board. Solid Waste District, I see Carla's here, she has a PTO request. Good morning.
Unless you want to do it.
Hi, Carla Striegel Winter with Du Bois County Solid Waste Management District. Typically, I would not put forward a request like this, but we have a new employee who has just been here just over 6 months, and he's basically been working 2 jobs. I know I've mentioned to the 3 of you at our board meetings how shorthanded we are, and our operations manager is really managing to somehow do 2 jobs while we had someone off for 2.5 months, in addition to having some other things that have required us to be shorthanded. So I had approached Marky about this, and he said, you know, we need to take this to the commissioners. His 6 months PTO that he had, just because of everything that's been going on, he still had 3 days left of that that went unused, and that is what we would like to.
How many days?
I'm sorry, it's 21 hours, so we work 7-hour days, so that's 3 days. He had a pre-scheduled doctor's appointment early on that he used right away out of that, and then hadn't used anything else. Typically, I don't, if a employee has ever asked for an extension, I've never offered it. I don't really appreciate that, and I completely believe in the, you know, everything rolling over and use it or lose it. But I feel like this is a circumstance that I felt like he's been working so hard, and I'd really like to be able to extend that so that he is able to do that. And I'm not sure, Marky, I had just talked about extending that to the end of the year, to end of this year, because the 6 month disappears when at the end of the 6 months. But I think Marky was originally talking about just taking that, because in the handbook it says something about extending it to the January 31st.
Correct, but I
Of the
think
following year.
we did discuss it though. I think the 21 hours was set to expire on October 25th, and like she said, they had another employee out on FMLA for 2.5 months, which made them short-staffed. So the operations manager wasn't able to take his time off. So I think it would be fair enough just to extend it through December 31st of 2022. those 21 hours.
as our,
He's satisfied with that?
I'm sorry.
He's satisfied with that, your
He-
operations?
He
go out
is
with 2 days
satisfied
off?
with, yes, he is
I've
satisfied.
studied it, so I don't have any questions. I favor doing it. Anyone else?
Yeah, no, I agree. I'd be open to even January 31st at that one. But if he's good with December 31st, that's.
Like I said, I don't really like to extend stuff and I
Sure.
don't really want to get
Yeah.
in some kind of habit of doing it. So, I would just appreciate that small amount of time since our route driver is back and working now.
What's the employee's name?
Eric Treader.
No, I appreciate him doing it, putting in the extra time, whatever you're shorting it. So I'll move that we approve the request for the extension of the PTO hours till the end of the year for Mr. Treader.
I'll second.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carries.
So who is-
Thank you for taking care of that.
Thank
He
you
was a
guys.
new employee and had been 6 months.
He was, I was hired on April 25th.
I just want to make sure I get it.
We had that other employee out with issues, so.
Oh, okay.
Actually, I'm done last night. So do you want to?
Let me know. I'll bring them by. I'll bring them by.
Okay, great.
I mean, you'll be there around noon time.
She can text me or call
or-
me.
Okay.
Sure. I mean, we're there, so you drop them off and I'm not there for some reason. Yeah, okay, thanks.
Does Mary Austin have a 502 number, like the area code? That's all right, okay. I've never done this.
I have it here.
No, I think I have it, I just want to make sure that it was correct.
Right here.
Yeah, that's right, thank you. It's good in here,
I knew it was yours.
So she just sent me something I was questioning.
Yeah, that's what I got.
Yeah, same thing, yeah.
Okay.
Alright. All right, we're ahead of schedule again, so let's just see if there's any miscellaneous items we can start working on it. Yeah. I don't have a whole lot of miscellaneous items, I don't believe, nothing's not on the schedule. The items in the historical cabinet, anybody heard or had any ideas on any of those items? You know, those items that were in the one cabinet, so the one cabinet's consolidated into the second, I don't know if anybody talked to anybody on that.
I haven't, haven't had any discussion since our last meeting on that. I know the question was, I think I raised the idea of thinning that out a little bit. That it seemed to be awful crowded. Do we actually need, or do we actually want all of those items in that cabinet? And somebody asked, well, how do we do that? And I don't know that anything was suggested, but I would, the local historians or, that's Mr. Nardoff or whoever that is, can maybe tell us what we ought to be keeping in there and what we shouldn't.
I'm kind of interested in, I've seen everything that's in there, but I'd like to look at it again, maybe in more detail, so I may just ask Scott and maybe Art, just to go look through it with.
Yeah.
We can box up the stuff that we don't need in there, and you can. See, is there gonna be space for a small cabinet between your office and the treasurer's office if we wanted to put another cabinet in there?
I don't really, Mike might know how to read the plans better than me, but
Cause there's a bump out in the wall, and is the water fountain going away? I don't
no,
remember.
it's staying.
It's staying.
As far as I know, it's staying.
It's just something maybe we can consider, we
We
can
have
check it out.
We have the bell and we have the cabinet and we have.
I guess it's just something I wanna look at and get it off my list here. Move forward.
And Amy may want to enter into this discussion whenever she comes in, but the noise in that lower level, have we done anything there, or is there any solution there that,
I'd say let's wait and see what happens after we get it built.
okay,
Mike and I met with her on Friday or Thursday.
there she is.
We talked to her on Friday, we said we'll probably have the construction finish up, to see how it plays out. If we need to put a noise dampening thing on the floor or something, we'll look at it then. But it's kind of already in process at the moment.
Lots of marble that happens.
I think they plan on starting December,
Finishing by,
end of February.
so it's kind of neat that busted through a little bit of the plaster, so you can see the old break there. Should be neat. All right.
But there could be a little space for a cabinet between, down by the treasurer's office or right south of the, or, right north of the, auditor's window. Could be a little space, but there, you have to check it out. There's a drinking fountain there too,
Is the drinking fountain being replaced? Because
no,
it's gonna stay the same gold.
I think it's the same.
Anybody have anything that they would be discussing at the end of the meeting that I could discuss now?
I don't think so.
I think the auditor's office, looks like we have a few things here.
I have a printer that I need to get declared. It's the toners or not the toner, the fusers shop has to be replaced there. So the old one's sitting in the back room.
And this is one that was in your office.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone have any issues with declaring that a surplus item for disposal? I'll move that we declare the printer from the auditor's office as a surplus material for disposal.
Second.
Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Let's see. These are on the agenda later. I put them down here, so I didn't know if you wanted them later.
That's it.
Ryan's CPR thing, but I don't know if you want to talk about that or not. That's more than upper money.
So just something that we would bring up briefly. Some of the local fire chiefs were talking about, if I understand correctly, getting some Lucas machines for first responders trucks. And they haven't asked, they wondered if we had any ARP money available to help them with this. And what those are, if I understand what a Lucas machine is properly, it's one that does chest compressions. It's not a defibrillator. It's not the one that will do the electrical current. And so I think we have them on the ambulances, but we don't have them on all of our other things. So that may be something that will be brought up in the future. Did you send this to everyone or just me?
Probably just you.
It says Chris Hogan, you on this one.
Oh, that's not the next one, but I don't know.
So I'll give you a brief rundown on this. For over the last decade, we've shared GIS information with the state GIS office. They're doing a pilot project to test software that will find and fix errors in the future, such as missing attribution or non-closing parcel geometry. They've asked if we want to be part of this pilot program, and they're going to, I guess, put together a report, and we would get a copy of that report. And I think maybe the city of Jasper is participating in that as well. And for us, Chris in the auditor's office said she would help with that. And my response to Sandy was, if Chris is going to participate, I'm fine with it, because I know she cares about the GIS, and it's something she's very knowledgeable on. So I feel comfortable having her participate. And I'm sure if there's something she finds that she doesn't like, she'll let us know.
Yeah, no, I would agree. And I didn't see the downside of it. Maybe somebody can point out some downside, but I don't see it. So if everybody thinks it's a good thing, I'm good with it.
made sense to me. Just be friendly with our friends. Anything else?
I think that's my last of my points.
Okay, let's just keep ahead of the schedule then. Amy, are you looking for anyone else?
No.
Okay. Amy Kippenbrock here with election re-precincting.
Again, yeah, sorry. I've been here twice for an order that talks about re-precincting due to the 2020 census. So the very first time I came, it was because we had some annexations that were done in 2018, 2019, and early 2020. So we kind of captured all those changes and I sent that to the state. And then the city redistricting happened. And then the state said, hey, you need to hold off and send it all at the same time with the city stuff. So you signed an order originally. Then I came back with their prepared order. The state election division gave me the order sample and we kind of tweaked it a little bit between Greg Schneider and I. And you signed off on that. That included the city redistricting, which prompted the county to make re-precincting. And then they didn't like the fact that we put a date in there. So they made us redo that order, and that's what I'm here for today. So this should be the final order that I asked you for, because it removed a couple pieces of language in the order that you had signed before. But it's really just allowing us to finalize the process of the re-precincting because of all the census work that was done. Huntingburg and Jasper did redistricting. They moved population to their districts, which then makes us clean up our precincts so everybody gets the right ballot when they go to the election next year. So I'm here to ask if you would sign off on the amended order establishing precincts.
From our standpoint, change nothing more clerical at this point. It's just paperwork. So we were fine. I was fine with it last time when you brought it in, so I don't have an issue.
Yeah, no, I'm a little unclear as to what it was, but it was strictly clerical as you described it, Chad. A date? did you
Yeah,
say?
there was a date in the order before that called out January 1, 2022, and it's really, it'll be January of 23 when it's effective, because that's when the census office in Indianapolis will sign off of it to the election division, and then they return it to us. She didn't like that we had a date in our order. Their date when they sign it is what the effective date should be. That's my understanding of it. So we just took the date out of the order. That's what we amended on the order that I'm asking you to sign.
Okay. Yeah, no, good.
I'll move we approve the signing of the re-precincting document.
I will second.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
I have two other things I'd like to ask for.
Sure. Let's do chairs next if we could.
Chairs are next. We have chairs in our office that have been there for about 11 and a half years. And one of my staff members has asked that we get new chairs. So we have the money in the perpetuation fund to pay for that. So I talked to Scott Hope, and he asked if he could take the current chairs that we have and move them to the break room, and he could move 8 of the other chairs from the break room out. So we're just, I guess, our chairs in the clerk's office are better than what's in the break room. So he'd like to move them downstairs and then move 8 of the worst chairs out. We're getting 6 in the clerk's office and 2 in the records library. So those are ordered and they're coming, and I have enough funds to pay for all that. I just would like you to surplus 8 chairs for me.
Are those desk chairs?
Yes,
And they work in the break room?
yes. That's what's down there today. They're just older, other office chairs.
Okay.
Who maintains inventory of the chairs in the basement?
I'd like to piggyback on that. I have a couple of people in my office that all of a sudden go down in their chairs, so I'm gonna try to look at chairs
Some
too.
chairs. Yeah.
So I may have a few that need.
There's a lot of science to chairs. The normal office chairs are supposed to last about 4 to 5 years. We're on 11.
I'd say we're beyond her, we're probably on
So-
15 or
Du Bois County added a 1 in front of that 4.
So, anyway,
But, I mean,
If it
you
keeps you
spend
off
a
the
lot of time
ground,
in
it's
the
still work.
I think these chairs are,
senior days.
yeah, maybe a couple of ones improve it.
No, I don't have an issue with that. We just need to make sure that the inventory is maintained.
We usually do the common areas because nobody else does them.
So you would remove things from your inventory because you're getting rid of them, then the person in the basement
get
would have to get rid of those?
Yeah.
Okay, and is it 8
it's 8.
total? Okay, so I'll move that we declare those 8 chairs in the break room as surplus to be removed of at the discretion of Mr. Hof.
I'll second.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
I have one more thing to request. This time of year always brings discussion on Wednesday night hours. So the probation office, clerk's office, and small claims office stays open till 6 on Wednesdays. And there's always conversation around the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, the Wednesday before Christmas, and then the Wednesday between Christmas and New Year's. It is my opinion that the clerk's office will stay open until 6, the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, the Wednesday before Christmas, but I would like to request that we close the clerk's office at 4 on the Wednesday between Christmas and New Year's. That is December 28th. It is by far the slowest week of the year in the clerk's office. I think the Wednesdays before the holidays, those are still pretty busy hours for us. I think about child support or marriage license. That's what we're busy with those Wednesdays. The 2 Wednesdays before the holidays, I believe probation is still open. Small claims, I think, is closed. So the Wednesday in between is, I think everybody is, the small claims and probation are planning on being closed. So I would like to match or mimic that
And you will
and
just
close at 4.
have your staff, you'll change their schedule so people have the full hours.
They have their full hours.
Because generally
If
somebody.
they work till 6, they get 2 comp hours. So they'll get their full hours. They just won't get their extra comp time from that Wednesday night. Two people only work.
Right.
So, yeah.
I don't have an issue with this.
They get 2 hours of comp every week. That you're.
The 2 people that work
The 2 people that
can earn 2 hours of comp when they work.
You only have 2 people in it.
Yes, yes.
No, if you don't think it's an issue with
I don't
people
think that it's.
expecting you to be open.
No, I don't think. And we'll do a press release and, let people know ahead of time, a few Wednesdays before that we're closed on that Wednesday, so they can prepare if they were planning on coming in. But I wouldn't foresee that Wednesday to have any customers after 4 o'clock.
If you email me your press release, I'll put it on Facebook page too. I'll move that we amend the schedule for the final Wednesday of the year so that the clerk's office hours are closing at 4 o'clock on that day.
I'll second.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Anything else? That's it?
That's it for this time.
All right, thank you. Any suggestions on what we do for the next 15 minutes until we wait for the public hearing?
Do you want to talk about the contract? Do you want to wait to do that after the resolution?
I want to, I'm not thinking, we have an hour scheduled for the public hearing, so I don't think we'll use that whole time, but sure, we might as well talk about the contract now and we can push ahead our hours that we are.
Do you want me to reach out to those final 3? To see if they wanted to come sooner?
If we could see if, at least Beth, maybe just move her up, and then the other 2 can stay where they are.
She's gonna go over and try, because she's got people coming.
I'll just go check across. Well, we'll do this and I'll.
Sounds good, thank you. So what we have here is Mary Austin from Clark Keith. They're helping us with the sewer district, and we have a professional services agreement.
I think I've talked to most everybody except Homer with questions. Do you have any questions, Mr. Green?
I'm gonna listen to the discussion, I'm gonna listen to the presentation, and then I don't know.
Okay. We discussed it a few times, but the, like we said, this contract here will get us up to the bidding process, the bidding, land acquisition, and construction would be the phase 2 agreement. Hopefully, we're gonna minimize as much land acquisition and do as much of it in right away as possible. I do expect that the lift stations will require definitely some land acquisition. But those will all be in phase 2. This covers the survey, which will, based on the schedule we have, will require us to have 3 crews, 2-man crews here for 8 to 10 weeks, working pretty much 5 to 6 days a week. And then it does the preliminary engineering report that is project specific. So that will be Hayesville and Portersville only in that. And then the full design and coordination with SRF in that. You will also have the only other additional contract you'll see for this first phase is an agreement with Baker Tilly. They do plan to come to the next meeting. Initially, what they're proposing is a $15,000 not to exceed, hourly not to exceed contract for their negotiations. Once we know exactly what that package is as far as SRF and USDA, and hopefully maybe another, they may need to increase that or write a lump sum. But they'd like to start with the 15,000 as we begin to coordinate and figure out where they're going with it.
One question I have. So,
Sure.
Mr. Hossetter, it says that you're a client representative for this agreement. I know you've had some changes in your life. Is this something you're going to be able to still participate in? Do you still want to be the commissioner's lead on this project? Like I know next Monday there's an afternoon meeting, right?
Yeah.
1 o'clock, and that's when they're usually having them.
And I did tell, I'm happy to, in the future, moving forward, scheduling them at 4 or 5, whatever we need to make schedules work for people. It doesn't matter to me. It's just what
We
works
can
for you
adjust the
guys.
schedule to work after 4 PM. I can make the meetings work. If that doesn't work for the other people on the committee, then we would have to address that.
So it would be with Brent and Sean.
Be Brent and Sean.
So Brent and Sean probably like being off at the end of the day.
Yeah, and it's, for most of the part, I probably can make most after 4 o'clock meetings work, but I do have 2 little ones that are pretty busy right now, so those can get.
Similar with the city of Jasper, they've got their people probably would rather do their work during the normal time. But as far as the contract purposes, you being written as the representative doesn't change.
We can change it at any time, yeah.
I don't think they're gonna tell us they don't want our business if somebody else goes to the meeting. So I didn't know how that would turn out, so.
Speaking of that, I was gonna suggest too, as far as the ordinance and bylaws are concerned, I know you had said you had several notes. I was thinking that next Monday, after we meet with Jasper, whether we want to wait till 4 or do it like 3:30, doing a meeting on just those for whoever wants to sit down and go through it
Well, the bad thing is he and I couldn't meet with you
at
together
the same
anyway.
time.
But,
I could meet with you and then.
you can meet with me right after we meet with Jasper, and then if you wanna meet with Nick later in the day, that
We can do that.
would be, yeah, I think that would be. And I've lived through a little bit of it with Mr. Schneer earlier, and I think the way I may have portrayed it on the phone is that I've got all these issues, but I don't think it would take us too awful long to get through some questions.
It's really important that you all feel completely comfortable with this, as well as, the ordinance and bylaws. But like I said, our initial submittal to IDEM with the ordinance and bylaws is intended to be a draft. They don't have to be finalized at that point, so.
No, I don't have anything that needs to be changed as far as I'm concerned. So I think we should have the public hearing and afterwards we can consider that further. Does that sound good to the board? Anything else for now?
No.
Good. We may have to get a bigger room. Have a few minutes. Hello. How you doing? Good, thank you.
Somebody asked me this morning. I couldn't figure out who the new person was. An associate who we sent it to. I think they sent it to.
Is that gonna be the council meeting?
So I gave her your name.
I'll have to go the first one.
Was my response. So you may be seeing, I didn't read the response. I just read it wrong. But if you get something more,
That's fine.
there's more discussion.
Yeah.
It's not hard to find overall the zoning variance.
That's fine. That'll work.
Correct.
Yeah, that'll work great.
That's what I'm trying to get over there now. Careful concrete today. You want to know about this whole thing. We'll see how that's what they're doing outside. We'll see what the guys are doing. There's some
I don't know if either of you care, but I got a invoice here from One Red Brother for using this storage for the field bracket. It's about $8 $18,000 for the work that they did for community corrections. That includes the 2 storage units, trailers, and we're going to $625 per unit. Last week, everybody, last class, is what we're going to go. Check our soft costs, we use a lot of our soft costs.
That's what's coming out of.
Yes. All right, for everybody in attendance, we have about 5 minutes until the public hearing for the sewer district starts. So just in case people looks like there's some interest in the topic. So we will wait for those 5 minutes until people show up, if there are any other folks that want to come. If you haven't signed in, please do sign in so we have a record of who is in attendance. Other than that, I guess feel free to chat for 5 minutes. Thank you.
Yes.
Yes. Yes, that was good. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, we did, what, 400 letters over 50 people, so.
But if we put every one of our focus communications. That's what I asked.
Mr. Gleason? Yes. I'm gonna go ahead and pay that bill, for the Conrad Brothers. Right. So, last made it sound like, yes, the first one was for September, the second was for October. Yes. And then I asked if we give us a specific time periods on our future invoices.
Thank
We
you.
know where we are. Did you call all the people for the school board?
I did.
I know one of them I talked to said they talked to you earlier in the week.
Yeah, I did. That was good.
Well, we still have a couple weeks, so I told the people that I would start making decisions first meeting.
It's a tough decision. Wish we had 5 spots.
One thing I was thinking is, look at this list, we'll be back on. Mr. Reynolds, do you intend to stay in the county's employ for the next year?
I would really like to, yeah.
What about Ms. Mesper?
I think she would too, yeah.
Mr. Bird, I put check marks here, but I was surprised when, Art quit that 1 year. Yeah, so I wanna ask, just to be sure. I said, so I assume you'll be back, Art? He said, no. What about you, Mr. Schneider?
I appreciate it.
Okay. I don't know if you're on our list. There he is. So when you made those calls, no one person stuck out? They said, hey, this is my person?
The old stuff. The old stuff. No, they're all good, they're all fine. You can't go wrong, though, you have to put that up here. We can't go, I mean, maybe we can, but not getting the feedback, but they're all good.
Did you ask for it? I thought I emailed it out again. So I think.
Well, you emailed it to me, I don't know if you emailed it back.
Just make sure I'm on that, actually. Dave, I know I got it on today's date.
Or Nick, you take a picture of my, that too, if you want that. Got a little scribble. Can see at that.
I remember seeing it, but I didn't remember if you ever.
Yeah, you always send it to me this time.
I did that the other day when I replied to some chat email. I texted you, hey, I replied. All right, I replied.
I don't worry.
All right, before we call that other meeting over, I will say
I wanted to send it to you.
I wanted to say thank you to Mr. Hove for helping with Operation Greenlight. As you remember, it was a national collaboration to support military veterans. We shined a green light on the courthouse for Veterans Day and for the week, last week, to just bring attention to the fact that there are veteran services available in DuBois County. There's a veteran service office. So I appreciate the work he did on that, and the city of Jasper for the overhead lights turning was green as well for the week. So it was good to bring attention to that issue. It's 9 o'clock. We're going to call the recess the commissioners meeting. We call to order the regional sewer district public hearing. I'm not sure exactly the process of how this will work, so I'll give a quick, because when people call me or email me and they say, what's this mean? The basic summary as I see it, and we have our engineer here, we've got county council people here, we have health department people here, and the commissioner, so there's plenty of people here to answer any questions that there are. But I believe the simple version of what this looks like, the regional sewer district at this point, would mean sewer would be developed in the Portersville and Hayesville areas with a main line coming from Hayesville down to the northern part of Jasper. Jasper would then take the wastewater and process it as they do for their municipal customers, the people that live within the city boundaries. So the simple version is that's what the process would happen, or that's what the end goal would be, that people in those areas would have the option to have public sewer available to them. The other thing that I would say about it, the second thing people want to know is, I just put in a septic system in my, a couple of years ago and it works just fine. Are you going to force me to be a part of the sewer district? I believe the answer to that would be, if you have a functional legal sewer or septic system on your property, then there would be no requirement for you to tap into this. The way I look at it, I have a septic system. I live in Harbison Township, and it was expensive. If mine fails, I would love there to be a sewer district, a sewer line in front of my house, so I could tap into that at $50 a month instead of paying $14,000 for a new septic system. So it's that's how I look at it for myself. So the idea is, if you have a legal system on your property that's functioning, there wouldn't be any reason that you would have to tap in. But it would be available for anybody that has new construction, or if you have a property now that would and you would like to use it. So I think that's the idea behind that. Yes.
Can I add to that?
Please. And everybody, this is Mary Austin. She's the public engineer. Is that the right word? Or professional engineer, or
Engineer, consultant, county
Consultant,
engineer,
okay.
however you look at it. But the only thing I would add to that is that one of the benefits to tapping on now or in initial construction is your initial tap fees would be included in the capital improvement cost as part of the county project. Whereas if you wait a year or two
to then tap onto the system. You would then have a normal tap fee like you would at every other system. So if you do decide to go ahead and move forward, even though your septic system is currently working, there is a benefit to doing it now, but it is not required.
Is that similar to how it is in the city? And if you build a new home in the city, you have to pay the city a fee to tap into the user sewer, correct?
Correct. I don't know any sewer system anywhere that doesn't have some type of tap on fee.
Okay. So Mary, can you, is there a defined purpose of what this public hearing is, or is it just an opportunity for us to say anyone that would like to speak on the topic can speak on the topic?
The main purpose is the resolution, the reading of the resolution that you'll pass, just to say that, that the county has approved and agreed to submit the, item petition to form the district, and then answer any questions that anybody has.
Do you have the resolution? Do you have a copy of the resolution?
You don't have it with you? I can send it to you in that package as well.
In this packet of stuff?
I can pull it up, because I've got it where I had emailed it to you.
I didn't run a copy of it.
Sorry about that.
Well, let's do it this way. I'm not sure how many folks want to speak, but I want everybody that would like to speak on the topic, give their opinion. Looks like if everybody in the room spoke for 2 minutes, you'd have plenty, everybody would have time. If you need more time than that, and there's still time, we have an hour for this, then you can come back up and speak on that topic. So, let's just go ahead and do that. Would anybody like to step up and, give their opinion in favor, against, or in between on the idea of the regional sewer district for Northwest DuBois County at this time? Good morning.
Good morning. Ken Geisler. I'm a resident of Hayesville proper. First of all, I'm not telling you we don't need a regional sewer district, but this is the first I'm hearing of it. I don't subscribe to the newspapers anymore since the Herald turned into a different entity a few years ago. So I've been hearing rumors, but I haven't heard any fact about it. I get a letter in the mail, here we go. I see the cart got a little bit before the horse today, that we're forming committees and everything before we have the meeting to discuss the regional sewer district. But I guess, one of the statements you made is that you don't have to get onto it if you've got a functioning system. In the past, I've done a lot of consulting for water and sewer districts, and I remember there was a 600 or 700, talk of a 700 feet rule. There was a 600 feet rule. If you were within that scope, you must tap onto the system. Has that changed?
From the paperwork that we have, it says if, for example, if your home failed, the septic system failed, and you're within 300 feet from it, or if you had a vacant lot and you were going to build on it and you're within 300 feet, is the language that we have, then you would be required to be.
So if you're within 300, you are required now.
If you fail, not
If
if
you
you
fail.
have a functioning system.
Really?
You have a permitted functioning system.
The old rule was if you were within that boundary, regardless of the state of your system, you tapped on.
It's a grandfather clause, so initially, you do not have to unless it's not functioning. Any new construction after it's built, if you're within 600 feet, yes, you would have to tap on.
I apologize. I thought
It's still a 600 feet rule?
Yes,
Okay.
I apologize. I thought it was.
but that's only new construction.
Okay, well, I would urge the commissioners and the council too, if we ever get into this situation again, to make the public a bit more informed for those of us ignorant people that don't subscribe to newspapers.
And then
And it's a big problem. And the only time I listen to the radio is when I'm in the car, so I don't hear the local news, and things like that. I'm not completely illiterate. I have a computer at home, but I don't look at the local things that much. But, you know, I think you could have done a better job of informing people here. Somebody, I don't know who is the entity now? Is the county the lead?
We're the lead in developing it, and
Yeah.
then the regional sewer district would have its own board, its own.
The county's the lead in developing it.
Yes, we're partnering with the city of Jasper on the project.
Okay. There's just a lot of unanswered questions, you know, as far as, you know, what kind of system is it gonna be? Is it gonna be a grinder system, or is it going to be a storm sewer, or a surge system?
No, it'll be, gravity primarily.
It'll be a gravity system, won't be grinder pumps everywhere.
No,
Okay.
that'd be low pressure.
Well, that
We
is,
have we've had a meeting in Hayesville last year. We had, 2 here, about a little over a year ago. We've had several meetings, but they have all been, published in the newspaper, on the website. You know,
yeah,
we've
well,
advertised for them.
I guess one of the problems is the newspaper's kind of going backwards in the county, I think. And I know there's a lot of people that do not subscribe to it anymore. And, you know, and state law is clear, you know, they tell you must publish in a local newspaper of, you know, predominant circulation. And, you know, that's fine. You know, I've had to do that with a lot of Rule 5 publications, and I did a lot of work in areas that the newspaper had less than 400 subscribers. So, you know, I understand that. But like I said, I just, you know, it kind of came as a surprise, and I want some questions answered. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
We do publish in 2 papers, so just so you know.
Yeah, I was gonna mention that I'm on a lot of committees, and that same issue that you brought up of how do we effectively communicate with people? And I was the county treasurer previously, and sometimes we would put out a notice and people would say, I'd say, well, we had it on the radio, the TV, the newspaper, and they'd say, well, I don't listen to it or do any of those. So the problem we have is, short of mailing a letter to somebody's house for each of these issues, I don't know how we reach people better. So that is something that's always a challenge for us. For sure. Thank you for your comments. Anyone else? Sure.
I guess I just have questions.
Sure, go ahead.
Questions, comments. Do you want me to stand?
Wherever you're most comfortable.
Okay. Now, if we have, does the sewer include water? Are we gonna be charged not only for the sewer usage, but also for water, like some people's are connected?
The charge, my understanding is the way, and this is how it is in the cities, that whatever amount of water you use, a percentage of that goes to base your sewer bill. So you're already paying a water bill.
What if we have a well and we're not paying a water bill though?
Your usage is estimated, so you have 2 options. You can choose to put a meter on your well, and so you know exactly what the usage is. Otherwise, there are national federal guidelines on how well usage is charged for sewer, based on the number of people living in a home, X, Y, Z. There is a federal table that gives you that. Your other option would be to have a meter put on your well and be charged directly that way.
So we're getting charged for water that we're pumping.
You wouldn't be charged for the water, you'd be charged for the sewer based on how much water you're using. Just as it is everywhere else, because basically that's your sewer use is coming from whatever water you're using. So you wouldn't have a water bill. You would be charged the sewer bill based on your water usage. Because that's our way of knowing how much sewer you're producing.
And Mary, what's the average bill, just so people know what they're getting, would possibly be getting into? Doesn't the state have there's a range, correct?
The federal and state guidelines, goal is always to fund projects to keep user bills under $100. The area's averages for a system this size generally run between 70 and 90. We're shooting for a bill around 55. We won't know for sure what that bill is until we know exactly how much is getting granted. And how many users there will be. The more people that sign on, the lower they'll be.
Thank you for bringing that up. What's your next question?
So I had heard, I don't know how true this is, because I don't plan on moving unless the city decides to move to Portersville. So if we sell our house and choose not to hook into this system, will the person buying the house be responsible for hooking onto the system?
Mary?
Not unless they make a renovation to the house that would require an upgrade to your existing septic system, or the existing septic system fails. So the same rules that apply to current owners will apply to the future owners. There is an ordinance that talks about an inspection and sale. So it would be looked at to see if they would need to, but as long as it's still functioning properly and they're not increasing the demand on it, then they wouldn't have to hook on either.
I believe that's similar to what the city does. If I wanted to buy your home and you lived on 1 Main Street, they run a camera down the toilet or a different a clean out, one of the two ways. And if the water goes without interruption, then there's no problem. If it's broken or there's things in there, then it has to be repaired for the new owner to get utilities. You may have known that already, but just in case you didn't.
And so you had mentioned the hooking onto it and the initial cost of that. Now, are we allowed to have that run but not hook into it? Or is that at our expense?
Are you saying, can you go ahead and tap now for free, but not be a user?
Mhm.
I don't know the answer to that, honestly.
Okay.
I will
That way.
find out though.
Well, in case we did sell our house, in the future owner wanted to tap into it, it would already be there.
If I was making the rules on the board, I'd probably say no, because there's added expense to
Well,
run
of
that,
course.
and there would be no income.
Will there be a minimum fee? In other words, I would expect to pay a minimum fee if I had a tap. Just like on water, if you use below the minimum, there's a floor. I would suspect there's a floor on this charge as well, even if you don't use it.
And that's why I was hesitating to answer, because I do believe that that's in SRF's, the funding agency's requirements, is that if the county were to use some of the funds for tap-ons that weren't being used, I believe there is a caveat to that you still have to pay a minimum of some sort, but I need to double check that. So, I'll take a look at it, and if you wanna contact me, I'll get that answer to you.
So are you saying there are no tap fees if you tap on immediately?
Yes. It's part of our,
But there will still be a fee to run it from that you're gonna have to pay to the contractor to run it from your house to the tap point, correct?
Now, the service lines and the tap lines are included in
The
initial.
service line and the tap line will be
Well,
included.
The service line from the line all the way to the property line, not just the Y tap,
To the property
is
line.
always included. Depending on how far you have to go from that to the house, depends on how much of it is included. Again, SRF puts a limit on how much of that you can include. I mean, if your house is, 10 acres away from the road, depending on how large of a property you have or whatever, they have a limit on how much we can use on service lines, but a portion of that is also included in this.
A portion of the service line will be.
In initial construction only.
but for a person that lives on St. Charles in Hayesville, and their home's right on the road, no cost at that point. If that same person lived 2,000 yards off the road there would be a discussion on how that gets taken care of.
Exactly.
Yes, ma'am.
I have a couple of questions. One is, what kind of timeline are we looking at on this?
So as far as right now.
I mean, I'm old, is this gonna? Let's go for 80, what chance do I have with that? Can I will it to my kids?
It's like a lot of things with government, there's a long process. So preliminary engineering is what this would start, and then it goes into, there's a long process. Mary, as far as when the first shovel would go in the road and a right of way to, not the road, in a right of way to put a pipe in would be what, 24? If everything.
Beginning of October of 23 is when it is planned, as long as the funding packages and everything close. October of 23 is when we will bid it out to the contractor. Contractors aren't gonna start a project like this in October. So it would be February, March, as soon as we start to thaw in 24. When they start construction in, you can expect about 18 months for construction.
Okay.
So
And
fortunately, it
that's
sounds
really
like
a
you'll have to
serious
deal with
question
it.
For us, you
Yeah.
know? I know that sounds funny to others.
No.
My other thing was that you said we're gonna be pumping into Jasper. They require, garbage disposals. You can't sell your house if it doesn't have a working garbage disposal in it in Jasper.
Well,
Are we all gonna get garbage disposals too?
I'll tell you, that may be a rule, but I was a realtor for several years and I've been financing homes, and I don't know that that ever actually gets checked. I don't know if,
Oh, yeah, it happened.
it's never happened where I've looked,
It happened
anything I've been
to
involved with.
my
Mary?
It's
granddaughter.
not in our current ordinances. It's
So
not
it's
something I normally put in ordinances unless,
Jasper put that in there as a way to prevent rodents from getting in people's trash, so
Oh.
it didn't have anything to do with
Okay,
the
so
sewer.
this would, and my husband had a question, which maybe you better tell him what your question is, because I don't.
Running the sewer line from your house, from where my bathroom is, to the hookup. Is that free or you?
Yeah, that's what we were talking about
I know
earlier.
water line,
So if your home is within a reasonable distance of the road,
yeah.
it's covered. So if you live way off acres back,
No, we
then,
live almost on the road.
okay.
Is it, what is the limit of that coverage? Is it up to the 600 foot or is it up to a different?
For what, who would be eligible to tap on, or for how far off the
Whatever
road
the
your home is?
SRS
how
covers.
much of that is paid for.
Correct.
That is, I believe that is stipulated by the funding agency, and I'm not sure exactly what that distance is.
Okay.
Off the top of my head, but that will be something that we worked out in our discussions with closing SRF that will happen between March and July of 2023 is when that answer can be given.
And SRF, for the people in the crowd, is state revolving fund. Is that
Correct.
correct? And so we can't afford to do this without some people, other putting money in, we'll just put it that way. And so the state revolving fund is one that they can give us a loan at low interest, and then some of it can be forgivable. So a project that costs $10, they may forgive $5 of that they loan. So something along those lines. So that's the only way this makes it feasible. Because the populations are so small in these areas, I mean, it's never financially feasible to just, for a government entity just to pay cash for these projects, because there's so few users. It would take 1,000 years to pay the thing back. But if we don't ever do it, then we're gonna keep having sewage issues in the creeks, high levels of E. coli, we've gotta take a stand on it at some point. I think that's kind of what we're looking at here. Mr. Warner, with the health department, do you have something you wanted to add?
The only thing I would probably have defined a little bit better is a functioning septic system. Just because you flush it, it goes away doesn't mean it's functioning. It has to be a permitted septic system that has been inspected by the health department within 1978 is when we first started permitting. So if your house is built before 1978, more than likely you do not have a functioning septic system. So Just wanted to bring that up because if they think it's gonna be optional because they have a septic tank and it goes somewhere that's not a functioning septic system, then those people would be required to hook up because they are outletting sewage directly to the ditch.
And I'll tell you, I had a guy this weekend ask me about the sewer district. He said, when I'm mowing my yard, I can tell when my neighbor flushes the toilet. I mean, it's that readily available, I guess. And maybe some of you have that experience where you can smell things in the air.
Both of these towns are relatively older than 1978, so it's very rare for a home in Hayesville or Forestville to have a functioning septic system unless they've corrected it within the past, so many years. And there's a few of them in Hayesville that have bit the bullet and had to do it because they couldn't flush their toilet or, those types of things. And you're talking some of those systems in Hayesville were upwards of $30,000 to put a septic system in. So that's why, another reason why this would be a great project to bring, because it's going to increase your property values, make it much easier to sell your home, because if you can't prove you have a functioning septic system, then it's a lot harder to sell your home. You can't sell it as is, according to right now, but you're cutting down the number of buyers by probably 95%, because most people can't just pay cash and not get it inspected. So just want to bring that up.
When the whole impetus to this project and the push for it, and one of the reasons why we are such a good candidate for forgivable principal and grant money is because of the fact that IDEM is aware of how poor a lot of the existing septic systems are. And there's several locations where those property owners don't get access to public sewers, IDEM will start to crack down on. The reason they haven't is because they know that we're in the process of trying to provide this.
Mary, one other question on this hookup, from this, I'll call it, from the bathroom to this, it's not, normally there's a septic tank in there. So who's gonna pay to get rid of that, fill that with sand? It's not normally how it's done, I think. So, I don't know, you better make sure that, this agreement is gonna pay for all that, because that's quite of an expense.
Septic system eliminations,
Right.
yes, that is something else that we have to work out with SRF.
Because it's, that is an expense.
Yeah.
Normally you gotta have a plumber to do that.
Not outside the house.
Really?
If the hookup from the wall of the house to the sewer is typically what they run, they'll run a new line. They're not going to use your existing line more than likely. Then that tank would just have to be dug up and filled with some type of flowable fill, like sand, or you can actually get flowable fill, or you can pump it out and actually remove the tank if you don't want it in your yard anymore. It's whatever option, and that would have to be hauled off to waste. But the contractor, whenever they hook your service line up, should take care of that, I believe.
Just so we don't mislead anybody here, because that could have to be taken care of.
And some of them may not even have tanks, so that would be a problem.
Where do we go to find the records of if our septic is approved?
You can call the DuBois County Health Department.
What's your phone number?
812-481-7055. And the environmentalist that could look at, that would be Jordan, or you could talk to myself. I can try to find them too. But if it's, your house was built before 1978, you never put a septic system in after that, you would not have a permit. So there's no need to call on that.
So we would call you, the health department, to get approval for our septic though, right?
If you wanted to put a septic system between now and when this sewer's installed, you would then get a soil evaluation. We would come out to approve everything as far as the layout. You would hire an installer. You would install the system. If you wanted to go that route and then not hook up to the sewer, that would be the process you would need to do. That would be your choice if you wanted to go that route. But typically they say if you can hook up to the sewer for 1.5 times what it costs you to put a septic system in, your money ahead.
Reverse that.
Reverse. If you can put a sewer in for 1.5 times.
The septic system, a new septic system is usually paid for within
your septic system is usually paid for within 4 years of having public sewer. So I'm saying public sewer is cheaper in the long run than the septic
Yes.
system.
I'd say that right.
Maybe I heard it backwards, but I just want to make sure that was clarified, that over the life of your septic system,
Because your
public
septic system,
sewer is 1.5 times cheaper than your septic system.
generally, the septic system, if you have great soil, you might get 20, 30 years out of it. If you have poor soil, sometimes you can get 10 to 15 to 20. So you're spending $15,000-$20,000 for the septic system, and then another 10 years if you're young, or 20 years, you might be spending another 30 grand at that time, because prices are not coming down, they just continue to go up. So you put a septic or sewer system in, the tap fee's covered. I mean, that's a win-win for this project, because that's not typically what happens. And then you just have a monthly bill after that.
Sean, I think what she was asking is, can you come out to her property and tell her if her septic system complies or not? Without her going and getting the soil tests and the
If we
construction.
pull the permit, and it's a permitted septic system, and there's no water surfacing in the yard, if your toilets are still functioning, everything's working properly, then you have a functioning septic system. It would be up to the commissioners to decide if we have to go out and inspect every one of these properties. I don't believe that's our intent.
So if you have a pre-78 home, you can't say your septic system is functioning.
If you have a pre-78 home and you've never got a septic permit, I can guarantee you're not functioning,
Okay,
because you're not permitted with us, and it's not legal.
well, we're not permitted, but
How do we become?
how do we know it wasn't?
You have to put a brand new permitted septic system in.
So you.
Any systems before 1978
I have no.
were
idea.
not built to regulations, is what he's saying. So anywhere in the country, if the system was put in before 1978, it would not qualify for a current permit.
In
Well,
the state
not
of
just
Indiana, so that's when Indiana's septic code was passed, of restricting people from putting anything in other than what followed the code.
I have no idea when ours was even put in, so that's why I'm asking these
Yeah.
questions.
So the first step would probably be just to call and say, hey, can you review this property at this address?
And I can tell you, some of the older permits are, they're a little hard to find, so if you call, you're gonna need to know when the year the house was built, you're gonna need to know the original owner that would have purchased the permit, and then what township and section number you're in. We don't have the name, sometimes we can search a square mile and try to locate it to the house, because most of the old permits are rural route, and the address does us nothing. So it has to be the owner of whoever purchased the permit, and then the year the house was built is how we can look them up.
Okay. I can do that.
Well, there's several more people here. If you have anything you'd like to say, we'd be happy to hear it. Anybody in the doorway? Looks like there's somebody behind you there too.
I'm good.
Okay, you're good? Great.
I guess I have a question. Well, and I understand that this is going to happen around the early months of 2024. How long will the capital improvement period, what's the span of that before someone has to decide, or maybe when does someone have to decide is the question really.
Okay. Mary, do you have an answer on that?
February, sometime between February and April, this in 2023, is you'll start receiving surveys from house to house asking if you're want to be hooked on or not. So yeah, we'll need to know before June at the latest.
Okay.
Mhm.
So what if you get from the survey a negative for people, like people don't want to hook on? Then will they proceed with the project?
We did we did a countywide survey online, and also one specific to Hayesville last year, and we had I want to say it was over 100 responses that, of people who were wanting to hook on.
Have you done that in Portersville as well?
We have not. Well, we offered it countywide, but we didn't at that time pull out just Portersville because Hayesville was our number one concern. And then when we got down to looking at it, it was more economical to add Portersville now than try to pick you all up later. So you were kind of added on after the fact.
So we're just along for the ride at this point.
While you're doing the project and you're breaking dirt, it's a lot easier and closer to pick you up than it would be to start a whole nother project after the one's finished.
We're trying to get the access to as many people as possible in this first round. And so that's why we had it work.
I'll just say that, you know, at the public meeting that we had, public meeting that we had at Hayesville, was that a year ago or? It's been a while.
It was almost exactly, it was October.
Okay.
Yeah.
The reaction, just my personal sense of what the reaction there was, the response there was overwhelmingly favorable. People were welcoming the opportunity to upgrade those systems and some of the things that Sean was talking about a while ago about just being able to affect your property values and the resale value of your homes and that sort of thing. The sense that I got from that meeting that we're going to, most of the people are going to participate in this.
Are these gonna be paper surveys through the mail? Or are they gonna have to be something we're gonna have to go find, like online or?
Oh, when it comes to hooking up, you will be directly contacted.
If I could add one thing, after listening to this whole hearing, I'm pleasantly surprised someone has really done their homework on financing. Most of the systems that are put in this area in southwestern Indiana, and I was involved with some of them, they involve grinder pumps and small diameter lines and doing this and that. There's a constant maintenance fee for you if you have a grinder pump in your backyard. I mean, you own it. If it goes out, the red light comes on, you go maintain it. I have family, I have brothers and sisters that live in the Hooterville section here in, right outside the city limits of Jasper. They're all grinder pumps. The last system that was put in by Patoka Regional through Celestine, San Anthony, Snellville, that area, it's all grinder pumps. And there's a lot of upfront costs for a grinder pump system for a homeowner. And believe me, people, if you need a septic system or you need a functioning sanitary sewer system, I would much rather make monthly payments on it than I would spend thousands of dollars. And grinder pumps, I mean, you're looking at, I think they paid $1,800 just for the pump system when they initially, and this was been several years back, right? That's been 5, 6, 7 years ago already. This system is, you're gonna be able to make monthly payments on this thing, which is phenomenal. If they can keep it below $100 a month for a normal household, I'm talking about a 3 to 4 bedroom household. And they can keep that below $100 a month and believe me, costs are gonna go up. I mean, you know, someday it's gonna be higher. But in my opinion, it's, and having some insight into this from past projects that I've dealt with, this is not a bad deal for the homeowner. I mean, it's not a shove it down your throat deal. If you qualify, you don't have to go on, Bill. But by going on, fixing a problem that a lot of us don't like to admit we have, but we know damn well we have it. I mean, to me, it's a deal. Because like I said, I'd rather make monthly payments than I would a big lump sum payment and then finance it through the bank if I don't have the money. I mean, this is a less painful way to do it. And you're gonna have the pain either way. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
I agree. I wish when my house was built, I didn't have to spend the $14,000. I could have tapped in for $1,000, or whatever it is, or.
And that's gonna be cheap for Hayesville, because most of you guys all have probably 20, 30-inch trash cans. You all have mound systems probably in your backyard if you want to put a septic system in. Portersville's different. I understand that. That's a little bit better soil. You might buy it a lot cheaper. But I mean, a normal septic system nowadays, just 3-bedroom, you're probably talking $8-10 grand just for the basics, bare minimum, for a septic system with the way materials have gone up, and it could be even more than that. But Hayesville's a different animal. It's got very poor soil, very expensive septic systems.
We have been studying this for almost 3 years now, and had the funding agencies looped in from day one to make sure that they were on board with this, to hopefully get as much of it granted as possible to keep the cost down. And absolutely, 2 things we said from the very beginning is that at least 50% of the initial construction cost needs to be available in funding in order to make it feasible. And it needs to be primarily gravity, because you're absolutely right. Grinder systems, some engineers love them. I think that they are an absolute last resort. Without funding, they cost about $6,000 per homeowner to put in. And then they cost anywhere from $2,000 to $3,000 every time your pump goes out. Because you're on a variable pressure system, the pumps don't tend to last but a couple of years, even though they'll tell you they're 10-year pumps. Most homeowners on an E1 system get 3 or 4 years out of them. So, absolutely was not the way we wanted to go. And in most rural areas, you do end up with grinder systems. And our goal was to make sure that did not happen.
Well, it seems to be thought out.
Is it proven that everybody in Hayesville and Portersville would not need a grinder by the terrain? You won't know that until the engineering's done, correct? I mean, there may be a pocket of somebody down in a hole that there's no other option for them other than a pump, right? Or not?
There could be a possibility that maybe one house is that way. We will not have a full grinder system though. And if you did have one house off to itself that's way, it's no longer the same situation because you don't have a variable pressure system. So the pumps are completely different. The intent is we have included a lift station to take everything from Hayesville to Jasper system and from Portersville to Jasper system. We have also included the cost for a small lift station within each community in case we come to a hydraulically tricky situation where we could bring several homes into a traditional lift station that is owned and maintained by the sewer district and pump that cluster of homes together from a pump that, like I said, is owned by the regional sewer district. The homeowners would all be on gravity as far as they were concerned.
So, in Grinder, Ida, that property on 461 East State Route 56, and just below Kansas, that below the hill there, that's a low point. There's several homes down in that area. So that, if we had to have a lift station there, that would be included as part of the project?
That situation, yes, is
Yeah,
included. I'm not-
That's the logical point for a gravity flow.
I'm not
system in that
perfectly
area- in that area.
picturing that exact location at the moment, but yes, that scenario, that's where we.
It's the
Yes, okay.
first deal when you come out of Hayesville. I don't know.
Dean, there's gonna be more than one lift station there, because of the topography of the area. They're gonna have to go into several areas probably and put lifts in there and then pump the lifts to probably a master lift and then into Jasper.
There's a number of
And
houses.
send it on its merry way. So, it's not and that's why a grinder pump would probably never be needed, because the lifts would be at the low points of the low elevation points. And if you have a house lower than the lowest elevation point, you got other problems. Right. So,
That's right.
and I'm being, and I've seen it, so it can happen.
But, yeah, you need to, rethink the location of your house. That's a good thing. You love your lesson.
While we have a lull, I will read the resolution. It is not very long. So, just for the public record here, resolution number 2022-16. A resolution of the DuBois County Board of Commissioners to petition for an order to establish the DuBois County Regional Sewer District. Whereas DuBois County is an eligible entity for the purpose of Indiana Code 13-26. And whereas the DuBois County Board of Commissioners has determined there is a need for a regional sewer district in DuBois County and wishes to authorize the creation and submission of a petition for the establishment of a regional sewer district. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of County Commissioners of DuBois County that, Section 1, the Board of County Commissioners, DuBois County authorizes the creation and submission of a petition to the Commissioner of Indiana Department of Environmental Management requesting an order for the establishment of the DuBois County Regional Sewer District under Indiana Code 13-26. Section 2, the Board of County Commissioners, DuBois County names Nick Hostetter to be the representative of the county and authorizes him to sign the petition on the county's behalf, duly adopted this day. So there's not much to this other than just saying that we would create and submit the created items to the Department of Environmental Management for the state. So just want to get that on the record. Anybody have any questions or concerns about that? Board okay with the resolution as written?
Do we adopt it during the public hearing, or do we do it when we're
I
back
do
in
it after
session?
the public hearing.
Okay. Any other questions or comments, concerns on this? Thank you all for your attendance. You all have, I believe, on the letter that was sent to you, you have my contact information. If you threw your letter away or don't have it anymore, you're always welcome to call any of the county phone numbers, and they'll give you my cell phone number or anybody else on the board, and you can contact us. Mary will stand out in the hallway.
Yeah, I also put a stack of cards at the podium that I can stand on the hallway and answer questions if people leave.
If you don't mind, we'll do that. So you're welcome to do that. That being said, seeing no other, one other item.
I don't know if you all realized that Craig was here. If
Oh,
y'all
hi,
have any
Craig.
questions for USDA as far as
Craig, would you like to make a statement on this project, what the USDA could do for the county and the city?
Yeah, so thank you guys everybody for coming in and talking to them about this. This is really good, impactful, that you guys want to do this. I get to do projects like this. I'm a potential funding agency for projects like this. We do this across the state for other counties. A lot of counties are going through the same struggles you are, looking for unsewered areas. And just as you've mentioned, it's expensive, and it can be expensive. So federal agencies, state agencies come in and try to buy down that rate to keep it affordable. What the county is doing right now is trying to find the best possible solution. You've got an engineer that's already talked about the gravity sewer and ways to make this less expensive. So I think you've done a really good job. I'm looking forward to any possibilities of looking at the bigger project and seeing if there's ways that we can work with the state agencies and have a really good funding package. So I don't know if you guys have any questions in relation to funding scenarios or anything else before I sit down. I just want to say thank you guys for coming.
The only question I have is, when you look at our project, you have other projects that come in front of you. How does our project stack up in relation to what you're used to seeing?
Just about like everyone that comes in. I mean, there's no differences here. Just as Sean was talking about earlier, we have a lot of unsewered areas and rural areas that probably just put in a system, put in a toilet, flush it to the backyard. A lot of communities, a lot of houses, a lot of yards do not have enough space for current permitted sewer systems. So not only do you might not have a system you want to put one in, you might not have space to do so. So this is really environmental management. For anybody thinking, why don't we just put a sewer plant up to where we're at? IDEM is really not in favor of continuing to put plants all over the state of Indiana. We have really good functioning systems, one here in Jasper, that we should be able to utilize. our agency as well as state agencies are trying to find ways to find regional systems where we can share assets at a county level. So what you're doing is exactly what we've been telling counties for at least the last 15 years they should be doing. So thank you for listening, and thank you for taking these steps to do that. It's really putting your county up really ahead of a lot of counties in the state that you're actually taking this and doing it. It's not an easy thing to do, but I'm telling you, a lot of counties are starting to wake up to this being a problem. So no, this is exactly what we're seeing across the county.
Thank you.
No problem.
I would add, if you haven't signed in, just for the record, if you could please fill that out on your way out, just your name. Appreciate it. We've got a record of everybody who was here.
All right, I'll give you one last chance. All right, seeing no other activity, we will close the Regional Sewer District public hearing. And thank you again. How's it going? Sure.
That goes out as a serious
Because when they pick it up, they've got to take it up right in. Hey, you too, see ya.
Thanks for having me. Hey, I don't get to come to these things local very often, so I kind of come and listen in. I get to see the backside, just the paperwork, so.
She didn't work in.
So what they said about it,
Maybe somebody else.
I think it was in the middle of the night.
Somebody else
It
did.
was my dog who noticed it.
Somebody else might have put it there for them. Yes, I put this on. I did. Yeah.
My dog noticed it. Yeah.
That was me. Yeah, and I come up there.
I'm sorry, you
I
picked it
picked it up.
That's always good when people win or lose, pick up their stuff. Sometimes they lay around.
I got it, so, no, I don't, I try not to bother people, I mean, they're busy and come and knock on everybody's door, because I know everybody's busy. But I appreciate you letting me know.
I had a community that didn't. Nobody can work. It's beautiful. It's the way to do that.
All right, we'll call the meeting back to order. All right, we'll call the meeting back to order. At 10 o'clock, we're going to be receiving bids for materials. And until then, we'd like to go for Okay, so as we've During the public hearing for the regional sewer district, we had a resolution that was read. And we should have this for consideration. Does anyone, any of the commissioners have any issues with this or any discussion that we had on resolution number 2022-16? Seeing none, I'll move that we approve resolution number 2022-16. First and a second. All in favor of the motion, say aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
We're before.
This
So for the yellow box, basically this.
All right, now what about the professional services agreement? Burns, do you have any questions there, comments, concerns?
I don't think I have any questions on the agreement itself. Just making sure we're ready to do it.
That's why, like, I don't wanna leave my.
Choice of much where you have started is that it wasn't out into.
You speak a little louder, may not be picking up on the TV.
Right in there.
Sean, can you go in the hall?
Huh?
Can you go in the hall?
We're trying to reach out.
Thank you. All right, thank
So,
you.
yeah, so initially, I'm a little concerned if we're ready to do this, if we're ready to enter into this agreement. I understand the drawbacks of not moving ahead with it, with the timeline and all of that. So, I think I'm ready to move forward. I do have some concerns. I hope we're right in moving forward, but I think we are ready to move forward.
The way I look at it, because I have the same concerns, was we signed it today and the city of Jasper in 2 weeks says, we can't work with you on this, or we're unable, unwilling, whatever roadblock comes. There are terms to get us out of the contract. We would pay for whatever work is done up to a given point, and then we would be out. So I believe the attorney has reviewed it, comfortable with, just from a timing perspective, get involved in this if we have to pull out in the future. I don't see that happening, but possibly it's there.
Yeah, no, I don't see it happening either, and I agree with that. I don't see it happening. But just not having it locked down firmly kind of bothers me a little bit. But to your point, we can move forward and very soon we'll have it locked down and move forward with the study, but we can back off at any time.
Agreed.
Roscoe? I shared the same concerns, talked them over yesterday. The main thing being, once the plan is complete, and we're working with the state on their funding and whatnot, there are other ways around it, even if it came down to the county building their own package plant, which we don't want to do, but would be an option if push came to shove. So the plan is good, whether we use it this year, next year, a couple of years down. That kind of put me at ease a little bit. I do not see the city backing out of this. I think it's a mutually beneficial agreement for both of us. So, I'm ready to move forward.
Commissioner-elect, do you have any comments?
No, I don't. No.
How do you feel about the project from what you know of it?
I agree with it. I mean, I do. I think this is something that's gonna have to be done eventually. So.
That being said, we do have a professional services agreement here. I'd probably feel better about it if Mary was in the room when we discussed it for final approval in case she wanted to say something about it. We have about 3 minutes until we're gonna open bids, so maybe we'll have another discussion on this service agreement after that.
Might be helpful to close. I said it might be helpful to close the door, but you don't want to lock it, you don't want to close anybody out either. I don't see that discussion out there.
Can they go downstairs in the
Anytime soon. Yeah, they could go
in the
downstairs.
meeting room downstairs, maybe?
Yeah.
If that's an option for them?
Mr. Kenny, can you go out and make business out there?
We need to move people.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can copy him. As far as.
Give me a career on that.
call over, or have you done that already? Bring in the bids?
We had one come over, but
I say she brought over.
I gotta say, we had a little more attendance than I was really expecting.
Anyone?
good.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
But again, you know, my take on it was that people are wanting to know, they're wanting information. But, you know, for the most part, they're in favor of moving forward.
Mostly positive.
Are they planning on having another meeting at Hayesville at the church or any kind of an open forum?
We had. what,
Coming
2
up
public
soon,
meetings
or-
here, 1 public meeting in Hayesville.
Right,
And then this one, these were actually letters sent to the
Right.
households that will be affected. So
right,
I believe this will be the last.
okay. I didn't know if there would be another open forum that, you know, more people could attend, like in the evening, so, you know, because people have to work.
Mr. Weddle, did you work with the treasurer on that box issue? The, a new drop box on the front steps, if she contacted you at all about that?
No.
Okay, are you aware of what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Okay, because I don't remember exactly, but I think I wanted your blessing on it, and I wanted Scott's blessing on the location where we would put it.
Okay.
So that ADA wise, it's in line, and from maintenance, it's in line.
I'll go talk to her, then probably tomorrow, I'll go talk to her and stuff.
She was on the schedule to be here at 11 to talk about it. I don't think it's a rush, so I guess we can put it off for 2 more weeks.
Well, I can go look at it now too, I don't care.
No, I'm saying she's, I asked her where she wanted, she said just outside the main entrance door, so I don't know, I guess, would that be a problem? As far as anything you're aware of?
No, there should be enough.
She's gonna bring you something that looked nice, because you said you'll make it ugly.
We'll
There is a-
basically hold it off, but if you're thinking.
There is a bench on the right, you wanna put it on the right side, so if you're facing the door, the right side is the left side.
I'd say the left side since the ram's.
That's what I would think, is on the left side, keep away from the ramp. And then you can still get access, you can still, as long as in a wheelchair, they can still get access over to that drop box on the left side,
Just
south
maybe
side.
tomorrow, give her a call and say, keep it away from this area.
I don't see, even if you did put it on the right side, the north side, whatever, I think you'd still be fine. There's been a lot of room in there, but I will go look at it.
Thank you. So, it being 10 o'clock, it's time to accept or to open material bids. Mr. Mayor, will you please run that process?
I will do so. There's some general mail here, we're just sorting it out. We open it.
If
in doubt, we put it in there, we don't know.
These get outdated. I sent in all the phones on those.
You understand.
First
First bid I'll be opening up is for cold mix. This is from Flint Brothers. New weather opener provided by the auditor. It's a little slippery. Very sharp though.
Can't
Put
win.
that.
Can't someone bring the machete?
Okay, we'll open them, make sure that they contain the information that is requested. They will be taken under advisement. I'll pass them on to Mr. Berger. Same thing that happened to us last year, if I recall, there's some calendars, gentlemen. I don't think that's.
When we get bids, if they're not working, we're just delirious.
Yeah,
So I'd rather
I don't
open
think it's
them
meant
here.
to sway your opinions.
Right here, we're going through item 1.
Okay.
We're gonna go high.
This is just a letter from St. Regis that they are unable to participate in the bidding process this year.
from Metal Culverts Inc. The price, their affidavit and bid bond. You want one for those? Yes, a different one.
Still item one.
Still item one. Civil con. Forms. With this.
He didn't quite. Yeah, she said, yeah, we did.
This is, that's a two.
Oh, gotcha.
All this.
Okay. We just picked it up.
So this particular packet, CivilCon had item number one, which is corrugated metal pipe, item two, plastic pipe,
And item number three
is geotest.
geotest. They have their pricing, they have their bid forms, and then they have their surety and liability.
Final.
Final bid for item one is from E3 Bridge.
Okay. Item two.
Item number two, second bid on this from E3 Bridge also. Item two still, Southern Indiana Supply.
there. Item two. Yeah. Civil Supply Company. Item two also. All of their documents are here as well. Okay. Item three. Yes. Okay. Go item two. Item three, bid from Southern Indiana Supply. Okay. Just, they have that. Yes. Double check, I believe that it was.
Well water. The person. Going with the AMC. The record review.
Item three, another bid from Civil Supply. Okay. Item two, I believe it was.
I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Shower. So yes.
Final bid for item three is from E3 Bridge.
We're so many to go with. I didn't even think yesterday.
But they were on number one.
I don't believe I'm pretty so.
Okay. Right.
Item four.
I'm reminded of
Two of them for item four, which
when my
is
dad was. He needed maybe. It doesn't hurt any worse today.
Bid for concrete supply.
So we're not gonna do anything today. We didn't do anything yesterday. We're not gonna do anything today. You know, one day at a time.
All of the documents are here. From IMI. Excuse me, all items are there.
Okay. Item six, which is how much hot mix or hot mix asphalt.
Okay, item six, hot mix asphalt. We have a bid here from Jay Trudeau. All their items are present. Okay, quarries. Item seven, cold mix. We have bids from same two entities, J.H. Rudolph and Dave Corley's. Present. And all their stuff isn't, the bond isn't for cable quarters, isn't the last night. Okay. Yeah. Otherwise it's here.
Okay. Item 8.
Okay, item 8 is crushed stone. Two bids here again, one from Cape Quarries, the other from Mulder crushed stone. On this one, there are bid pauses, and the other item. Two items left. Otherwise, it's there. And all the bowls are sliced here as well.
Okay.
Last item. Last item is number 9. They're from Mulder and Cape Quarries again. All there. That it? Yes. Yeah, that was all items. We've opened them, checked for the relevant documents in each. If they're there, Steve's going to take them all under advisement. Are you gonna?
Yeah, I think we'll
do it upstairs.
take them downstairs and let everybody take a look at them. Again, thanks again for bidding. And, see you downstairs.
When interested party can look at them now, and when will we do final approval?
Next meeting.
Next first Monday in December? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, guys. I did ask if Beth wanted to come early. I didn't know what you were going on. Mary might start last night talking. And Ryland's here too. Here's all your guys' mail.
Thank you. We'll examine it.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll just take you and then we'll move on to Ryland right after.
Okay.
Good morning.
Good morning. I'm Beth Summerside. I'm going to be the prosecutor, if you don't know, starting in 2023. I just make notes. So I have notes about what I'm going to talk about, and then I have another document for you to look at.
Thank you.
Sam, do you need one for minutes there? All right. So two items of interest today for the prosecutor's office. Mr. Shadyfelt has announced that he's retiring from holding the child support deputy prosecutor position. The office is currently in his building and will need to be moved. And it's my understanding that he's willing to allow month-to-month rental for now until we find a space. I'm proposing to move the child support office to the rental location at 248 East 3rd Street, which is the spot between Ace Fencing and Visit Du Bois County down here by the library. The rent would be $1,500 a month, fixed for 3 years.
Currently, there's only $950 per month budgeted for rent. However, I've listed the expenses on your sheets. We have a total of about $1,953 per month that's budgeted for expenses like cleaning, mowing, utilities, phone, internet, fax, maintenance contracts. So we have some additional money we could work with. The space is unfinished now. The owner would build the space to suit our needs. We would have to negotiate to make sure that the owner is on board with the proposed build out. The proposed build out is also attached to the letter of intent that I gave you. It's the last page. If there's any reason the county would need to contribute additional funds to the build out, I do have incentive funds that I could use for that through the child support office. Currently, there's approximately $178,000 in county incentive funds and $237,000 in prosecutor incentive funds that I believe we could use, as well as some clerk incentive funds. I'm not sure on the number on that, or there's limitations on how we could use them, but we could use them to help fix out the space. The only thing that the county would be definitively responsible for construction-wise would be running the internet and phone lines. Again, I could use incentive funds to cover that cost as well. Currently, it's my understanding that the child support office has a contract with ECMUNDI that is working well. I'm not sure if the commissioners prefer if we use Matrix since they cover most of the county's needs, or if we continue with ECMUNDI. Fine, just whatever works. Currently, the child support office has a contract with ECMUNDI for $3,816 per year to service their computers, and that's paid through incentive funds.
When does that contract end? Is it January, December?
I believe it's January 1st. Michelle with the child support office told me that she just received an invoice for next year, so I would assume that it starts over in January.
Sandy, would it be in the county's best interest to work with Matrix with this to keep it consistent, or is it working fine with ECMUNDI?
They're currently not on our system, so they're totally independent.
Is there a benefit to having them on our system, or is it fine to keep it?
Answer that question.
What would you prefer? You ever thought on it?
I asked Michelle if ECMUNDI's working well. She said they are. They're familiar with their system. The child support office is going to be transitioning to a new electronic system, and I believe that ECMUNDI's familiar with that as well. I mean, from my perspective, since they're in a completely separate location, if it's working well, if it's not broke, don't fix it. But I don't care either way.
And I would say as long as we don't have anything more than a 1-year contract, we can always make a change at the end of the next year, and we're not overly invested.
Sure.
But I think I'm fine with that. Any comments so far from the board?
I would be good with that.
The proposed letter of intent I've given you that they're asking us to sign, as well as a copy of the proposal for how the space would be built out. I believe initially there might have been a concern about parking down there because there's not a lot of parking spots, but it's my understanding that the owner of the building also owns the parking lot behind the building, which if you guys are familiar, it would be south of the Herald. And so the employees could park in that back parking lot. There's a back entrance they could go in through, and then any walk-in traffic would have the spots up front where they could park in front to get into the building. The owner would probably need up to 6 months to finish the space once we get started, so it would be my preference that we start sooner than later to just get it moved. Previously, we were more limited on what we could use the incentive funds for since Mr. Schoenfeld owned the building, but now we're not going to have that restriction anymore, so we'll be able to more freely use those incentive funds we have available to us. Another thing I wanted to disclose is that I'm working with Ryan Craig, who will be a council person after the first of the year. He does not own the building. He's just facilitating a rental agreement between the county and the owner of the building through RE/MAX. The contract should be signed before the first of the year, I would think, so I don't know why this would be a conflict of interest or any type of issue. Ryan has told me he's not getting some great financial benefit. He's really just taking the fee to negotiate between the two of us, so.
There'll be no one going
payment
to him for his service.
No, that's not my understanding. I can make sure with him again, but my understanding was it shouldn't be an issue.
Generally, it would be a one-time payout for the services that you've done.
So I guess at this point, I'm here to ask for the commissioner's approval to sign the letter of intent. I don't know whether I'm supposed to sign that, you guys sign that, I'm not sure how that goes. But I want to go ahead and move forward so we can get the build out started. We would also need to be in discussion with Mr. Schoenfeld about a month-to-month rental of the current space until the new space is completed. I hadn't talked to him about that yet because I wanted to see where this went, because if this was not going to be a go, then we might need to consider a different option. I also have offered the child support deputy prosecutor position to Mike Fritch. Mike is currently the chief deputy prosecutor in Martin County, and he'll be retiring there at the end of the year. I offered him the position with the benefits currently offered to that position, and I'm asking for your approval for that hire and transfer of benefits to him.
So I met with last week, and it sounds like everything that we discussed at that time, so I'm in favor of everything as it's written. I haven't checked out the contract here, but I haven't looked at this document yet, but as far as what her notes have said, I'm on board with that. Commissioner Hostetter?
Yeah, I don't see anything out of line here. I just wonder if long term we should be looking at the county either purchasing space or something to alleviate some of our growing needs as far as office space.
I don't disagree with you, and Chad and I talked about that last week. We talked about the possibility of being able to move the child support office in the annex building. I mean, there could be a possibility to reconfigure things downstairs, but the reality is, I am very quickly running out of space in the prosecutor's
Well, I'm not
office.
saying not to do this now.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm saying in the future
Yeah.
that maybe we need to start.
We could find a building where the prosecutor's office and the child support office goes together. Yeah, I don't disagree with you, because we are very tight where we're at now.
I know you guys are tight over here.
Yeah.
And the lease on this, is that an annual lease?
3 years.
3 years, 3 years, I'm sorry, I missed that.
Yes, 3 years,
Okay,
because
good.
the owner wants to be able to recoup the build out cost, so it's 3 years.
Well, probably in 3 years, you probably wouldn't be likely that you would be changing the configuration of your office and the other.
Well-
Or 3 years is probably a pretty good time.
Yeah, I would say it's a good
Transition
time.
period to something like that.
Because it's, I mean, at some point in the near future, I'm gonna be asking for another prosecutor. I know we talked about, Chad was there, can't remember if you two were there, at the public safety tax, when we discussed about the possibility of adding officers, and at some point in the future, that I'll probably be asking for another prosecutor, so we don't have any space for one right now, so.
So I don't have a problem with the office space or moving forward with that. The last paragraph there about the deputy, the child support deputy prosecutor. Have you worked with HR on that?
Well, I haven't done anything formally with Marky or anything yet, no.
Okay. And you offered the position with the benefits currently being offered.
Well, that was the discussion that we had.
Yeah.
The discussion was, what does the benefits, I asked, check with Sandy, what are the benefits that are currently, I told that person, Mike Fritsch, these are the benefits that are currently offered. And I said, obviously it's subject to commissioner approval, and I can't.
I think that might be something we want to look at, is what benefits are there, salary and benefits. And
Currently, the salary is $48,000, I think, which finding an attorney to work for $48,000 is next to impossible, so.
even a retired attorney.
Well, the position was
No, I'm
a
just
part-time position
Uh-huh.
because Shaneyfield had his own practice with this position until recently.
So the discussion I had with Marky on Thursday, Friday, whatever it was, this position and Dr. Ted are two of the part-time positions that have medical benefits and what are in addition to their salary. And that was the discussion. When we discussed it, we thought that professional positions that are part-time or considered somewhat part-time, their SO, I think, is that what it is on that?
Special operating.
Special something.
Yeah.
I'm satisfied with maintaining those two positions as they are with those benefits.
Are those the only two positions in the county that fall into that category?
Those are the only ones we could think of that are SO with, where you need an advanced degree to hold the position. Not just a bachelor's degree or associate's degree, you have to, licensing and. So that's why I was in favor.
And I'm not necessarily wanting to pull that back or pull that away, or if we did for some reason, that we would compensate on the other side of it, salary or whatever, so that the same benefits would be offered, so to speak, to that person. So I'm just saying, is that where we want to be on?
It's kind of a deal where we either pay them $15 with no insurance or $10 with insurance. It's,
Yeah.
you know, the bottom line to us.
Is there, you know, so I want to make sure we were comfortable with doing that. And,
Mr. Fritsch expressed to me that he would like to know sooner than later because it's open enrollment periods and he's changing, and so he kind of has to know one way or another what's going to happen with it.
Regarding open enrollment, because of the new hire, that wouldn't really apply.
Well, I think in terms of if he's not going to get it, open enrollment on what he's going to get.
Oh, I see what you mean, absolutely.
On his own.
purchasing of.
Yeah,
right,
yeah,
He's not 65 yet.
No, he's not.
No. But, with the public, Affordable Care Act and that sort of thing.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with all that.
Enrollments of those programs, yeah.
What do we think about let's just take them piecemeal, the location, the rental of that property? Anybody have any comments, questions, concerns with that?
Just to clarify, up here you had, the rent would be $1,500 a month, and then but we're currently paying $950 plus all of those other things. And all of those other things are included in that $1,500? In other words, we wouldn't have all of those expenses?
Well, I don't think we're going to have mowing. I believe there's a dumpster there. I don't think we're going to have mowing. You know, it just depends. We're going to have some of them. We're not going to be able to cut out all of them, but I still have all those incentive funds that I can use, which we previously couldn't use because they were tied to Mr. Schoenfeld. So now I can use incentive funds to pay all that. So if there's anything above and beyond what's already budgeted, I can pay them through incentive funds.
Okay.
Mr. Sherry, questions or
No, I mean,
problems?
it's a letter of intent here. Obviously, there'll be a lease agreement that comes forward. The only question I have, Mr. Wendell's not here, but I know there was some conversation about the ADA compliance with the build out.
Yeah.
If you discussed that with
I haven't discussed it with Mr. Wentholm. I will. It's my understanding that it can be built to be ADA compliant. I think that should be fine, but Mr. Wentholm can look over it to make sure.
that's all I would add.
The only concern, I think, that Mr. Gleason, mostly Mr. Gleason, he's more of that kind of area, was that we make sure that it's not built out in a way that is cheap or
Sure, yes, and
inefficient or,
I
I
discussed
wouldn't
that
think that would happen.
I discussed that with Ryan Craig, and he said, obviously the owner has incentive to build it out in a nice way, because if he wants to sell the building eventually, he doesn't want something that's cheap or not built well. It serves the owner of the building as well to build it out in a nice way.
And I'm sure if it didn't work for your purposes, you'd have grounds to complain. So
Yes.
we could upset tenant. So as far as the intent to proceed, I don't have a problem with that under these conditions. Anybody else?
So what do we have to do to get the rent changed in the budget?
I don't think we have to do anything right now, because it's gonna stay with Mr. Schoenfeld for now. We just need to discuss it with Mr. Schoenfeld.
Keep it at the $950 or whatever we
No.
discussed.
Probably not, but whatever we budgeted for, we still have to get an agreement with it.
Yeah.
So I've got that written here, but I was asking Greg, do you have?
I don't know what the new numbers would be, but the same lease that we've entered into before, we just changed the term. That'd be a month-to-month lease.
So can you work on that, work with him to get a month-to-month in order? So I say that,
You did?
that's okay, I can use this one.
I got another copy yet. Somebody else needs that, Greg? Can you copy?
So month to month with Bill until
Until this is finished.
this is finished.
And sorry, there was a budgeted amount approved already for,
$950 a month,
but that was an increase from last year.
900.
Okay, so the 950.
So I think the figure's already there. I know it was budgeted.
Unless Mr. Shaney thinks he wants $1,000 a month instead of the 950, but if he's.
I just didn't
Mr.
know,
Gleason, do you have any comments or concerns before we move forward with this?
because he's still gonna use, if you're gonna be there 6 months, he's still gonna use some of this other stuff. So I wanted to make sure there's enough money before we sign it. This council has to,
Would it be a
But we're not-
I mean, it won't go, I mean, we should have enough money in the budget. We may have to make a change, 6 months from now.
Right.
Won't we have enough money in the budget, even if you raise it to that?
and then incentive funds, we'll just have to start budgeting that.
Well, I'm just going off your numbers here.
Sure.
Based on this, the $950 per month, $338 for the office cleaning, mowing, and trash disposal, and then the maintenance contracts, if you add those all together, you're within $50 for this rent. Because I'm assuming she'll still have utilities, telephone, internet,
Yes.
fax.
So we'll just have to budget the incentive funds.
Okay, I will make a motion that we approve entering into the proposal with Remax Local, who is working on behalf of Young Rental and Realty as presented.
I'll second.
Any other discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed, same sign, motion carries. So I signed a copy here, and that's yours.
I'll make copies too.
Regarding Mr. Fritsch, I think that it
I'll
would
just need
be,
to sign the page.
Okay.
my assumption is it's at the, I guess he's a, I don't know how that would work, if he's an appointment or if he's a hired employee.
I think he's a hire. I think you're only an appointment if you're chief deputy.
So as long as she went through whatever process with Mr. Rhodes, I'm satisfied with Mr. Fritsch, who's taking that position. Everybody,
Yeah, I have really no say in who you choose to take that position. I just ask that you utilize their human resources.
Sure.
I agree, and yeah, no, I'm comfortable with that individual. My only concern was that we consider whether, I think the intent was way back when that they were grandfathered, but I don't know that if it was written in such a way that the individual was grandfathered or the position was grandfathered. So I just wanted to kind of bring that up and make sure that we're aware of that situation and move forward in a way that you're comfortable with doing so.
So I don't recall what the document was exactly, but Mr. Rhodes had a document with all of these positions and what they were granted, what benefits, and we looked at that on.
That was approved back in 2016, I believe.
Yeah, so whenever-
The insurance away from the state employees.
I was thinking it was even beyond that.
Might have
Actually,
been,
I was thinking before I was on the board. I'm
might have been.
not positive, but I think so.
But the document that I saw that I think is the most recent action we've taken has them down as eligible for this benefit. And so we would have to do something, we'd have to take action to take the benefit away, if that's what we want to do. I'm not in favor of doing that.
Okay.
So, we all fine with that? I don't think we need to do anything formally to hire this person, but.
So I just need to go through Marky and I can tell Mr. Fritsch that he can assume that he will be offered insurance through the county.
Yes, ma'am. I don't believe there's any other action or anything else you need from us, is there?
Nope, nothing for me.
So, I think we're good. Thank you for coming in. Thank you for your work on this.
I appreciate your time. Thank you, guys.
Riley? Good morning.
I'm just here to provide you a monthly update on where we're at for health. We have started each of the pathway meetings, so local economies, enhancing quality of place, community wellness, and e-connectivity all has met once with the university partner. I feel that each meeting has had great conversations and good turnout. So we are seeing a great take from the community in on this. We have started brainstorming, so each pathway started brainstorming a list of potential projects. We will meet again in December in each of those pathways to narrow down that list. And then February 2nd is our final prioritization meeting with universities and our core team. So that's kind of the outlook of where we're at this month and projecting over the next month. Along with that.
So over the next 30 days, everybody will meet for their second time, their different groups. Then between the final one of those meetings and February 2nd, you or the agencies will consolidate, have a summary for the core team to begin a review or to make a final.
On February 2nd, we will discuss and have a final. So I believe that meeting is 2 to 3 hours long. So that's where we will narrow it down to 5 to 10 projects that we want to include in the strategic investment plan.
Okay.
And then the strategic investment plan, the content creation will begin in December. So Okra has set it up to where each month the community coordinators and myself will complete certain sections of the content in the strategic investment plan, obviously with the projects being the last thing, because we don't have that until February 2nd.
So the clerk chooses to spend
So every step of the way, you're doing work, you're kind of feeding work up there, and collaboratively, we're putting together a document. Final document.
And then what I put together will be due to Purdue March 1st, where Purdue and Oprah will review and make that final strategic investment plan to the formal document.
So when you say 10 projects, are you saying 10 total? So two and a half per pathway?
It
Or
could
are we
be,
talking 10 per pathway?
it's 10 total, or it could even be 5 total. And it could be 3 in one pathway and 7 in the other. It doesn't necessarily have to be 2 or 3 from each of the pathways. It's whatever the core team narrows it down to.
That's probably good to force us to focus as a team. But I guess that wasn't my thinking. I thought there was going to be more items on that summary. You're probably keeping it better than I am, so.
Which
Anybody?
of course, we will have that list from each of the pathways too, so moving forward, just ideas moving from the county and the city, you know, those things.
So if we select the top 10, we will still have the other 100 items on a sheet that we can consider.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's all I have today. If you have any questions or concerns or comments?
So there was a good conversation on the, I think it was local economy, was the one I was on last week, and before that was the e-connectivity. I was thinking that it was going to be a pretty humdrum little meeting, but I think it was good conversations. We had some good people at the table, and one thing that I'll bring up, last Friday, the I think it was the FEC, put out this map of the whole United States, and I sent it to Ryland to give to the group. And what it's supposed to do, they put hexagons across the whole country, right? Little circle sections of every spot in the country. So you should be able to zoom in, look at your zone down to the address level, and it will give you feedback if you're served, unserved, who serves you, and it gives a little bit of information on cellular coverage as well. So a bunch of quality information. But then whenever I looked at the map, according to this map, unless I may be not reading it properly, I'm going to look at it some more. But it looks like they have the whole country covered. Like and I think that that's kind of opposite of what the purpose of this was. So I zoomed down to my house, and it says I'm covered because Starlink is available. That's the Elon Musk deal with satellites, right? So that's $110 a month after you pay $500 for your equipment, and it's not even available yet. You sign up, and when it's available, you're in line. So they counted that as something saying that I was covered. The second thing was HughesLink or HughesNet, which is a similar idea, except I could get that today, but that ratchets you down. You get so many megs. When that's over with, then we're gonna put the screw in a little tighter, and your speeds will be a lot slower. So those are the two things that it's saying 98% of DuBois County is covered on this FEC map. Okay, so the reason I say that is to say what came out of this meeting is we're working with our local providers to give us the actual footprint so we can have a usable map for DuBois County that actually says Smithville is here and we actually provide a usable service on this footprint. Orange County Fiber does this and PSC does this and Verizon and the other providers. So that's one neat thing that came out of this, and I'm hoping that with our partner Purdue, we will give him the data, he'll put it on the map that we can actually see where our holes are. Because we're not 98% covered unless people want to pay for a service lesser than what they're thinking, or what most of us consider a good usable service. People don't like having limits, they want fast speeds. Just like you could get here in Jasper, they want that everywhere. Does that sound like accurate so far?
Yes.
So I think that that's kind of neat, and one of the big providers has given us their data, and I don't know, is anybody else
I've received 2.
receiving that one? So it's in process.
Good.
Anything else? Anything stand out to you from these meetings that you weren't expecting?
I don't think so. I think I've seen, especially from the community engagement and these topics, a lot of the same conversations are being had. I know I was at the beginning of Quality of Place and then finished out at Community Wellness. They were on the same night, and there seemed to be quite a few that crossed over in different pathways with different reasons. So I don't think anything surprising, just kind of hearing in different areas.
Well, I appreciate your work on this and the Chad on the court team and so forth, and sounds like it's all working the way it's supposed to.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Ron. All right, who's up next? Angie?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, so I'm here, I have the final contract from the assessor's office conversion to Exoft. For you guys' signatures, I have passed it on, well, Greg's not here, but to Greg. And he's reviewed and approved the contract as it is written. I do have Ed Kerner and Patty Ball here representing Exoft. If you would have any questions for them, I'm sure they'd be happy to answer anything that you would.
They bring any coupons?
That's a good question to ask.
That's about the only thing I think I need from them.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't know. Yeah. Maybe I don't know enough to ask questions, but I've listened to your presentations and convinced that we need to move forward with this.
Well, I do want to thank you all for approving the conversion going forward and at the last meeting and providing my opinion on what is best for the county and that it's in the best interest of the county moving forward. Just to ensure that we have a product that will produce the values, the outcome of values in the appropriate manner and to ensure that existence of relationship in the future is invaluable, just to make sure you have confidence in what you're using, is a big deal. So
These are life-changing things for people that they come to your office and a value that is placed on their home. It means a lot to them.
Well, this is
And
kind
if
of
you-
the start for county funding, so I think it's very important to make sure that we have a system in place that we feel confident, feel confident on, and we feel confident it's gonna be there in the future. And that we're not ever placed under the gun that, oh, we gotta switch, we gotta find something different. And so I think it's time, I think it's a good move, I think it's the best move to move forward, so anyhow.
Do you have a final version of the contract? Got to see it.
Yeah.
You said Mr. Schneider has reviewed this?
Yes, and it's basically, it's the same, well, here, you can review that. The only change, Greg wanted was this verbiage right here to be added.
Part of that, right?
Yeah,
That's
that
what it was.
one too. No, this one, in the event that there's a conflict between the work plan and the contract, that the contract would be permanent. If there was anything where two items were discussed and if there was any kind of contract or conflict, that the contract would be the deciding.
Deciding factor.
Yeah, so that was the only thing that was added from the original, other than getting the dates lined out as far as when the conversion would be happening, timelines as far as, information being done and installations and things like that. So.
Regarding the financing, is the council and yourself are on board with how the yearly payments are made? You got that all taken care of as well?
Mm-hmm.
Candace, please, do you have any questions on this with payments?
We really didn't decide how we would pay it.
Well, after talking with talking over with Sandy, the reassessment fund actually has funding in it to pay the annual installments. So we're gonna go ahead and do an additional appropriation for next year to pay the first installment. Okay. So then it'd be 5 years. So it'll stay on a 5-year schedule.
Okay.
but
I
we'll
know
go
we
ahead.
discussed it, I didn't know if we
Yeah.
firmed that up.
Yeah, it's still gonna be a 5-year installment with the first installment being due next year after they're done doing the conversion with Steve in May, probably. So I think that was all pretty much, agreeable with the council. We just, as far as when that first payment was gonna start was kind of up in the air. But we thought, we might as well, since we have the money in the reassessment fund, to go ahead and pay that first installment next year. That way we're on an equal payment schedule the rest of the timeline.
Because there's no real benefit to prepay it, I guess, or pay it in a lump sum.
No. It's still gonna be the same amount.
Okay, no problem.
10% off, we pay it all ahead of time?
That's not my decision. I'm not seeing it happen in 74 of the contracts.
But we're different.
It's
Just
just
ask.
that
All right,
Always looking for a bargain.
I'm trying.
I'll just tell you, the only discount I've ever seen them give is if the county signs the CAMA contract and the tax contract at the same time. I just thought I'd I've known Sandy for a long
Just
time.
put it out there.
Give me about 4 years and 30 some days.
You mind if I date yours?
Do what?
You mind if I date your signature?
Oh, no, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Okay. We have a prescribed contract for computer software services and equipment between the county and Xsoft. I will move that we approve and sign the contract as is presented.
I will second.
Mr. Schneider, any final thoughts on this contract?
No, I'd seen the revised version, was sent to me and I had no concerns with that.
Any other discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Do you need this one?
I'll have to.
Is it uploaded?
You brought that company representatives with you. We didn't ask any questions, but maybe you had answers prepared for questions we should have asked. Give you a chance to answer those if you want.
No, I've been doing this for 34 and a half years. And I always like to go to the contract signing because we've run into a couple times there's questions. And then you delay it another meeting and so forth. So I was here just in case you gentlemen.
We appreciate it.
So will you guys sign the rest of this, because it's not fully executed yet? So-
Right.
What?
I'm gonna,
Is she'll scan it to him, or scan it,
To Brian.
email it to him. Brian will sign it and send it back and he'll get it full.
Okay, because I'll need that one.
Full copy.
yes.
Do we need an original?
Well, I just need to be able to scan it, and this isn't fully executed, so I can't.
I'll get it to you.
Okay, sir, thank you.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
You'll just take it.
Happy Thanksgiving all.
Same to you.
Oh, I didn't.
Mary?
Back to me?
Yes, I think, I'll first say, I think that the public hearing went well. I appreciate the questions and the feedback. I think everybody in the room learned a little something, so that was a good thing. Well, do you have any thoughts on it?
No, I think it went really well, and as people filtered out, I will say, I had one gentleman who said I was here prepared to stick my lawyers on everybody, and I'm leaving saying thank you. So I think that sums up a very good public hearing. Couldn't wait to sign on and wanted to know how fast he could say, yes, I'm on it. And
Did he tell you what he was gonna sue us for? Oh, I didn't know if there was something particular we had done wrong.
But out of everybody that I talked to individually in the hallway, I got a list of people who gave me names and numbers and said, yes, I want it now. So, contact me as soon as I can sign on it. Only one who is, does not wish to have it herself, but is glad that it's coming, I guess, to the general public, but would like to continue with her septic system. So Overall, I think similar to when we had the meeting out in Hayesville, and the overwhelming consensus is positive, which is great. So,
And as an update from last meeting, I only received a little more feedback directly, and it was positive too. So I had one person that said, like I mentioned at the last meeting, leave Hayesville alone, don't touch anything. But every other thing was positive. Please move forward.
I haven't had any feedback. I guess that's your area.
That had my number on it.
I will say, just to clean up a few items, the draft of Baker Tilly's hourly not to exceed contract I had sent to Greg for him to read the legal on it and make sure I don't need them to make any changes to that. Once he's reviewed that, I will send it to all the commissioners and council members in an email for you all to review. Andre with Baker and Tilly will be here on the 5th for the commissioners meeting. If you can just let me know a time slot you want him in.
Mhm. I have 8:45, I have 9:15, I have 9:45,
He will probably want the later though, so 9:45?
or I can even go after that, but I've got some.
9:45.
9:45, okay. I will let him know 9:45. So he will be here then, with, their executed version to formally present it to you all.
And you said that'll be how much money? Because we don't have that money in place.
Right, as I say, so it's a $15,000 not to exceed. I plan to attend the council meeting on the 28th. If you could let me know what time.
The 28th.
You don't have to let me know right now.
Is 4:30,
That's just,
so
it's probably pretty early.
just come at 4:30.
At 4:30, okay. Anyway, so I was planning on attending that, and to answer any questions that the council would have, and they'll have the draft, before then to review it. Didn't know if Andre needed to actually be there, or.
I wouldn't think at this time, no.
Okay.
I mean, I think, I don't think it's real.
So possibly if you could just ask if he could be available by telephone. That's
Okay.
usually, I'm not gonna tell you what to do your business, but I like when they're available for our meetings in case we need them.
We won't be able to approve it that night because I can't do an additional for the December 12th meeting, but
So he is just gonna guide the whole process financially, how we would go forward here.
Correct. They'll do like the rate assessment, and they'll help with your funding package and all that.
It seems like a long conversation. You know what I'm saying?
Would it be better just to move him to December 12th then? I mean, there's not a huge rush on getting his contract finalized.
that'll be when I can have it. Then we'll be able to approve it.
So should he be at the December 5th meeting or the meeting after the 12th?
Which would be the.
Or does it matter?
It does make me,
He can come to the 5th and it can be approved pending funding from the council. Is what we've done before versus him having to come back, on the 19th.
again, if we're gonna have to pay the guy to come down here, don't have him come down, we're gonna use their services more than likely. If we get the contract, we can review that. I don't need to hear it first myself.
I'm saying most of the questions I should have answered for you. We've
Right.
got something. So
Yeah, that would work too. Just so he can be available possibly on the,
By phone.
when is our meeting, the 12th, I think.
12th.
Okay, so on the 12th by phone, and then I'll be here for that one too then, I guess. What time?
I don't have the council's agenda, but
Just let me know
just,
when you have me in there.
I would imagine there's nothing on there right now, so let's just say 4:30, and then I'll let you know if that's different.
Okay. And then as far as the review of the ordinances and bylaws, I'll meet with, so we don't have too many commissioners in the same place at one time. If it works out for you, Chad. I'll meet with you, Tom, and Brent immediately following Jasper's meeting. And then Nick, 4:30, what time works for you?
I get off at 4, so 4:30 is ideal.
Okay.
I mean, I could do 4:15 if you wanna try to get it.
Well, I was
We're
gonna do the
It's gonna be a
commissioners
commissioner meeting at
at
4:30.
4:30. So you wanna meet right after that?
Sorry.
Council meeting, I'll just come to the
Right, council.
council meeting and then meet with you afterwards.
Okay, so I'll meet with Nick after council. Okay, and Greg, you know.
I'll be
which
there,
one?
I believe, for that, the afternoon one, the 2:00, 2:30,
Okay.
whatever.
So you're gonna be in with
Check.
Sean. Okay, I'll meet with Nick after. Okay. That answers everything I need to answer.
We've got the professional services agreement that we have to decide if we're signing or not signing. What are we thinking? Anybody have any questions?
They did sign the resolution when you were with the people.
Perfect, thank you.
No,
You send me.
I'll get you that when I scan it.
I'm fine to move forward.
I'm ready to move forward.
I think so, as we discussed before, we've got, even if, things don't work out with the city of Jasper, we want to move forward with this project, and we have some options to do that. And to your point as well, as the engineering process goes forward, if all breaks loose and we say we have to stop, we can stop at that point.
Yeah, there's a 30-day notice in there, that just pay for what we've done thus far, and if all done, it is.
It's certainly something we need to get started.
All right, for the DuBois County Regional Sewer District Project number 1, professional service agreement, I'll move that we approve and sign.
I'll second.
Any other discussion? Anything from you, Cerise?
Now, the ARPA funds will be used for this project, right?
Correct. Okay, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. So you'll need that one too for scanning.
Yes.
That one has a signature on it.
I thank you all very much. I am so excited to see this come to fruition. I just can't tell you how thrilled I am that we're calling it this process and, actually seeing eventually some pipes in the ground. So thank you very much and look forward to going through the process with you.
The only thing I will ask is that, communication wise, as we move forward, spoon feed it, possibly is probably better for us as a board and probably better for the city. Because sometimes whenever I get a document that has 30 pages in it, I'm always gonna get to it tomorrow. And tomorrow just doesn't come, it's 30, I don't really have time for this.
I've been trying to be better about getting on a call with her on the weekend before our meeting to just do an update call and have something for you guys.
Because after,
Been easy lately because she's at all the meetings.
because after talking to you on Friday, all my questions were answered, I felt pretty good. When we had to do those letters, I didn't feel like that was good. I didn't feel we had enough time to get that, and I think the city may be in the same boat I am, where a little bit of reminders or nudging or babysitting, for lack of a better term, may make us feel more comfortable. That's the only thing. Otherwise, I'm really excited about moving forward too. I think this is going to be great for DuBois County.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and especially when we go into construction, you will have regular monthly updates, so it'll come in a lot smaller chunks than the information you have been getting. So, and like I said, I'll be here regularly and at the council meeting really regularly too. So, to make sure that everybody stays up to date as we go through the process.
Great. Anybody else?
Nope.
Thanks, Mary.
All right, thank you.
Have a great day.
You all have a wonderful Thanksgiving.
Same to
Thank
you.
you too.
Where are you taking the truck on there?
I'll
Okay,
leave it.
Nick, you're closest.
It
You
was
have
the
to deal
reason.
with it. All right, here we go. We've got a few more items to work on here. The next one is going to be the 2023 appointment discussion that we're going to have. So let's just, I don't know if you have your forms with you.
I have what was sent to us.
So let's start with the school board, just because I think, like we said, it's an important, all of these are important, but this one seems especially important. We have a person going off, Mr. Kenise, who's been on there a while. We have 5 people that seem like they're good quality people. I've made a couple phone calls, I need to make more, but probably the first meeting next month, I think it's important that we, at least on this position, we can hold maybe some of the other ones off a little longer. We should just stay on, I guess. One thing that I will mention, I talked to the superintendent, I had a long call with her, with these appointments. She's available to you both if you like, or maybe you've already talked to her, I'm not sure. One thing I noticed as I was watching their last meeting, they put it on YouTube as well. It's a whole group of men. So that's something that I wasn't aware of, and I think that having 51% of the population not represented on the board may be something to look at. I don't want to look at just that. If a male is more qualified, of course that's what I'll go with. But that's one thing that I was thinking of, to make sure that we have. If there's something we can do to be more diverse, more inclusive of a better representation of the community, that's one thing we can look at.
That's really, I think that's one of my priorities, and that's kind of what I've done in trying to evaluate these, because I think they're all good quality candidates and would serve Du Bois very well. But so I started to develop what I thought were my priorities, if you will, what qualifications are a priority, and that was certainly one of them. Classroom experience is one of them. Financial background of some type and problem solving time. You know, I know one of the persons is a retired individual, might be able to provide more time than the others, I don't know. But those are kind of some of the things that I was working through in my mind.
Sure. Again, this is similar to what I was just telling Mary. It's like, I always want to do it, but it's like, oh, this is gonna, you never know how long one of these calls is gonna take, so I've been putting it off a little more than I'd like. I've only been in touch with 2 of the 5, but I will get in touch with all of them, and I'll have my decision made by the next time we meet. Also, Cerise, again, with any of these are gonna be appointments that I personally would like your feedback on. So if you and I meet soon, I'll give you a copy of this to review, or I can email you a copy as well if you're interested in looking at it. I would appreciate your feedback. Yeah, let's go with that. So how about this? We'll move on to the next one. Top of the list is the 4-H Council Board. Janelle Hassenauer and Madison Kiesler. These appear to be one-year appointments. Do we know if they're interested in serving again? Does anybody have contact with these folks?
I do not know. I know they have a progression of how they move through the board and move through the alternate positions and so forth. And Janelle is president right now. Is that the term they use, chairman, president?
And Madison is the treasurer.
Is the treasurer, and both of them are fairly new in those positions. I think the president may, but even if the president is moving on, there's a pass. They like to keep them on for a year after that. I think so. I think they would be open to staying on.
Nick, I think for our benefit, you and I, one thing I'd want to know is what does Cerise want to serve on? If, or do you have any thoughts at this point, or will you by the next meeting? Because, for example, if 4-H Council Board was your number one thing you wanted to be on, that could inform our decision. So I think at least that's important to me. Or we could just say, you're not a, or we could just say you're not a commissioner yet. Mr. Brahmas will make 100% of the decision.
It's just appointed.
I think my suggestion would be that maybe we have these discussions, but that the appointments are made on the first of the year, because these are appointments that are going forward. I don't know that it shouldn't be the 2023 board that makes the appointments. Now, the school board, if we're all in agreement, and they want to have a little advance notice on that.
Yeah, because
as much as possible, I think it's a 2023 board decision.
We could, like I know for 911, it doesn't matter if we have it appointed in December or January, we can difference, but maybe as we go through it, maybe that will make a difference in some of these.
And some of these are, to kind of piggyback on your remark about the 4-H council, some of these require commissioner appointment, a commissioner to be appointed on some of these boards. Others do not. 4-H council, for example, right now, we do not have a commissioner on the board, but it could be a commissioner if there was a big interest there.
Absolutely. My first year on, I said, what am I most interested in? I was most interested in being on the 911 board, community corrections. Those were a couple that were important to me. And so I've sat on those. That doesn't mean I have to sit on those indefinitely. So if you wanted to be on one of those, or Cerise wanted to, I don't own those. You know, we vote on them, I suppose. So let's just talk about them, I guess, for this meeting.
Okay.
I mean, how do you want to move forward there?
Well, I would pull this one, can't find my current sheet.
I mean, you want to just keep discussing them over the next month and then first meeting in January, appoint all that we can there, or?
Yeah, I feel like if we can appoint them in the first meeting in January, that's probably our best bet. Just because it is moving forward. I'm trying to think of any that may have that time constraint that we need to do it before the end of the year. When I came on, I think it was done before the end of the year. So, you know, I don't think it's much of a necessity that we have to wait until after the first.
So realistically, there'll be a vacancy for a few days.
Right.
Will that really change area development? Du Bois Strong, will that change a whole lot of that in 3 days? Probably.
On January 3rd, don't you?
Right, that's what I mean.
So, I mean, it's like,
these.
Right. We'll have to, the people that are full-time employees, will have to make those.
Just making sure.
And I'm not saying it needs to be done that way. I mean, you're in the room and you can be part of the discussion and that sort of thing if everybody's comfortable with it. You know, I can vote to say yes to the appointment if we're all comfortable with it.
You can have a mouse in your ear and that'll be your vote.
Yeah.
If comfortable with that. But how about this? How about we could, at least for the next meeting, we could do things like highway clerk, engineer, supervisor, and attorney and custodian. And if Cerise has any issues with any of those folks, she can talk to one of us about that before the next meeting. Otherwise, we can go ahead and maybe just get those out of the way, get those lined up.
so for the next meeting.
Is there a list
We'll
or
have to have
something
the-
that I can have? Is there a list of,
I can get you a list.
Okay. that'd be great.
Greg, would you mind Steve, somebody, would you make a copy?
Yeah, why We made two since I don't know. Yeah, please, I'm thinking if you
Because
guys.
Nick
You
can't find
want
it.
for yourself.
The only, is that the current?
I started going through my backpack, I'm like, I know I have this thing.
You want one too, Mr. Brown?
Well, no, I'm good, because what I'm getting at is the one that,
Lynn.
Lynn was only the ones that need to be appointed.
That's what she narrowed it down to, was the ones that need to be
Need to be
appointed.
appointed. It's not the full list.
Cerise, at this time, if you had an opportunity to look at the appointments that are available from the county and determine any that you are interested in participating in? Or would you rather talk about those some other time?
I'd rather talk about them later.
Okay.
I'd like to look at this list and
Sure,
see.
and I can, talk about the appointments that I had and kind of, you know, if one of you are going to take these appointments, or at least,
Or make an appointment.
or make an appointment, if it doesn't need to be a commissioner, but yeah, I was on the area development, which is Du Bois Strong, and on the executive board there. And that needs to be a county commissioner, that serves on that, at least that's my understanding, that it needs to be a county commissioner that serves on that board. It meets once a month, generally on the third Thursday at 7:45 in the morning. And then the full board meeting, and Mike is part of that as well, that is every other month for a lunch meeting. So that's the commitment there, in addition to any committee that you might serve on as part of that, or other types of things. Patoka Regional Water and Sewer, also a commission.
That's mine.
That's a seven-member board made up of 3 county commissioners, Crawford, Orange, and Du Bois, as well as a county council appointment. 2 of them are county council. Du Bois County's appointment is not a council member. So in other words, the council appointments don't have to be council members, but commissioners do. That's DuBois Regional Water and Sewer. And that's 2 meetings a month. On Monday evening, we generally meet at 6 o'clock for an executive session. 6:30, the meeting starts, we're generally out of there by 8 o'clock. 2 meetings a month. Again, in addition to what other might come up along the way. That meeting is at the Regional Water and Sewer Office near the Patoka Lake Dam, up there, if you're familiar with it, where it's at. That's where that meeting takes place. So, like I said, 2 meetings a month. They do pay mileage as well as a stipend for that meeting. So, there's a little bit of incentive there. DuBois, the solid waste, of course, you're going to be a member of the solid waste board. All 3 commissioners are a member there. So that's not really a decision whether you want to be part of that board or not. Automatically appointed to that. Radius, I'm on the Radius board as a county representative, but that's not necessarily a county employee or a county commissioner or county council member. But Mike, I know you were talking about perhaps taking that position, but I don't.
I did accept it.
You did accept
I did accept it.
Okay. What else? Now, there's a board called the Education and Entrepreneurship in DuBois County that I'm on. And again, that's not so much, I think I was asked to serve because of my involvement in county government. And I told them that I'm going to step away from it. So they may be coming back to county government for another member there, but that's not necessarily one of our appointments that are on our list. Anyway, just kind of give you an idea of what I've been appointed.
So the 2 biggest ones are gonna be DuBois Strong and Regional Water.
Yes.
So is it called DuBois Regional Water or the Patoka Regional Water?
The Patoka Regional Water and Sewer.
Okay.
Patoka Regional Water and Sewer. And that's not on the list that we got in the auditor's office because it's, I guess it's not up for.
It's not up yet.
It'll be on this whole list.
It'll be on the full list,
but not the.
It's probably not up yet for probably a 4-year term, 3-year term, 4-year term, and it's probably not up yet. But it will go because that next does need to be a commissioner. But yeah, those are the 2 that require the most time.
Let's just go continue through the list here. So 911 Advisory Board, the appointments that are up this year are myself and Scott Ehler. Scott, I believe, is willing to continue serving. I'm willing to continue serving, or if someone else is interested in that, we can discuss it. Dave Ring, I can call him when the time is necessary for that. Ryan Young, does anyone have
I was
any
gonna say,
issues?
that's almost an automatic unless we have a problem with him, like Brent and Steve and all the rest of them.
Well, and Ryan, I'm assuming would like to continue serving.
And then Amanda is right underneath him, so those are his assistant. So how about this? I'll reach out to them.
Who's gonna contact the 4-H? I didn't catch that.
Nobody at this point.
Elmer, when is your
If
next
we're,
DuBois Strong?
because if Cerise and I or Cerise and somebody are gonna meet so that she can give her feedback on these things,
We've got one coming up
I
on
guess we're
December
pushing,
1st.
kicking the cans out of the next
I
to,
think she can do that.
before we contact
with
people.
you, or is it not?
This is going to be more of an executive session meeting. We're going to discuss, we're going to evaluate staff.
Okay.
Let me look at that.
Just a thought. I can't do it with my schedule, that's why I was.
Okay.
Okay, then the next one we had after ambulance is the DuBois Strong that we talked about. Commissioner Braun is stepping off of that. Community Corrections Advisory Board, most of these folks are appointed due to their position, but we do have some, such as Doug Tarvin, Bridget Seaton, Jonathan Burton, and myself, who are lay persons, so they could be from any particular, they don't have to have a certain qualification, they're just community members. So currently, I serve on that board, as does Alex Holt for the council. Steve Scott with the Contractual Public Library. Christine Golden emailed me. She wants to keep him on if we are in agreement. I was going to say I've got some information here on him, his phone number and email. If either of you want to talk to him, it's on there. You can keep that. But I'm fine with keeping him unless someone else wants that position. Next two are custodian and county attorney. I think we've already discussed those. DuBois County Child Protection Team, just for Cerese's benefit, that's a thing where by statute, people have to, or either have to be there or they make an appointment. Sandy has been the appointment for one of the courts. I was doing that, I think originally we had it as the president of the Board of Commissioners would do that meeting, would take that position, and then we appointed a lady to do it the last year. It's you basically go to a meeting.
He bailed.
It's a board where there's no authority to do anything. You sit. What you do is you.
It's difficult to sit on it because you really don't have a lot of input. You really don't have a lot of understanding of the cases in our positions.
So all of us would come together. A guy from Child Services says this child was abused in this way. Next paper. Here's how this kid was abused. Here's the terrible things that are happening.
Now the hospital or the prosecutor
Right.
or our CASA or there's other people that are on it that know it and can,
Like there's a person.
they can
from the
provide
hospital.
valuable input where we just sat there.
I said
And there's
that.
a decision made for, no, okay.
It's just to
At
get
one
input
time-
on, it might be to give, like, if I knew something, I could say, hey, try this, or hey, give a suggestion.
Sure, but you can't.
You can,
Yeah.
but I really don't know enough about
The case, right.
At one time, we could say, we want that, like, they would give us a list of ones that Mike called in, he complained about his neighbor, and Child Services says, we're not gonna investigate it for one reason or another. We could say, we want that one investigated anyway.
Sure.
But they even stopped that.
Right.
So I didn't feel like I had much value on it.
So your opinion may not matter.
Well, it's just, it's hard to listen to the cases.
Huh.
It's things like little Billy was taken out to uncle's before school, and he was abused by the uncle. Is someone who's supposed to be trusting to get on the school bus, and the county commissioner doesn't do much with that other than sit there and feel terrible about it. I guess it encourages us to support the things that help mitigate those problems. Anyway, let's move on before I cry. Emergency Management Advisory Council. With these, I would assume that most of them are by their position.
I'm not, but I'd like to stay on that.
People like Tom Thacker, Brett Eckert, these are people that
They're all elected officials.
they're elected officials from representing different entities.
So you're not.
I mean, I am on there, I'd like to stay on
Well, I thought you said I'm not, but I like,
I'm not on there by, like, it could be another commission.
oh, yeah, but it has to be a commissioner. They need a commissioner.
There is one change on here that I will recommend this year. We have Jennifer Durr, who is a person on there as a Civil Air Patrol appointment. I did some research, talked to Travis, talked to this other person. There's a person named Josh Bowers who is interested in doing it.
Can you spell that for me?
Bowers.
Okay.
And he was interested in taking part. Jennifer Durr hasn't been very active recently.
I have never met her, I've been on this board for 6 years now.
I was trying to be polite. So Mr. Bowers is willing to participate.
Okay.
And he's sounds like a good man.
If you don't mind passing his contact to me.
Yeah, gave it to Tammy. I can,
Okay, I can get it from her.
okay, yeah, I was gonna say, I don't know that, I don't have it handy, but I did talk to Tammy about it.
Okay.
So she spoke with him, I spoke with him, and we were both okay with it. Next up, we have Health Board. So I believe Mr. Harmon, or Dr. Harmon, Dr. Richardson, both are willing to continue. Dr. Charles Johnson is stepping down, and Dr. Molly Johnson is willing to take his place. I'm okay with those unless somebody else has a problem with it.
Sounds good to me.
First three on the next page are, I'm still on the fence about them, but I guess you guys probably like them.
I'd like to.
Next, we have Carolyn Brewer. I think, Nick, you contacted them, didn't you, usually for Honeyburg? Was that yours? Or was it somebody else?
No, it was Lauren Tanner that's on there.
Oh, okay, it's a different person. Does anybody know Carolyn Brewer?
I do.
Probably get her contact from Lauren.
We'll, we won't assign these to anybody this meeting, but just so we keep it in mind that if somebody has a person that is interested in serving on that, it's available. Region 15, Commissioner Hostetter, you're on that. How's that been going?
I'd like to continue.
Okay. So what if Cerise wants to do it too? Does she have to arm wrestle you?
Yep.
Okay. That's the best option I can think of. Museum Board,
Paper, rock, scissors.
paid. I'm fine with her if she wants to continue forward. Then we have the Northeast DuBois Fire Protection District. Mary Lou's there. She's been active in the township government for a long time. Something we can consider again. Bernard Knies, he's the one resigning at the end of the year. We've already discussed the Northeast DuBois School Corporation. Next, we have Property Tax Board of Appeals, Wayne Pearson and Brian Smith. Does anybody on this board have an interest on sitting on that? Or Cerise, would you have an interest in Property Tax Board of Appeals?
Possibly, yeah.
The, again, I don't know. I guess I can talk to Mr. Smith. I work with him. Mr. Pearson, I think, Commissioner Dallas, you talked with him?
No, not Dwayne.
No?
His dad did it before,
Oh, okay.
you know,
Doug Abel still doesn't continue. He's not on here, but
is he, whose appointment is he?
he's not on this list, but I know he's had comments before where he didn't want to continue.
Is he on your 2018 list? Probably it is. Fred Hollenden, Dwayne Pearson, and Greg Abel. Greg Abel's he who you talked to?
Yeah, no,
Or you talked to somebody's dad, right?
yes, Dwayne's dad.
Okay.
He served on there before Dwayne did. Dwayne took his place on there. I'm not sure when that started. I may have talked to. You know, I'll correct that. I may have talked to Dwayne when we appointed him back in. Is that a one-year appointment?
That's what it says.
Yes.
I don't think it's within the last year that I've talked to him.
Says 3-member board, county fiscal body appoints one individual who must be level 2 or 3 assessor, appraiser,
That'd be
commissioner.
great.
Appoint 2 freehold members, not more than 2 of the members may be of the same political party, and at least 2 of the members are residents of the county. That makes sense, doesn't it? And at least one commissioner's appointment must be level 2 or 3. However, they may waive this requirement. The county fiscal body may waive this.
So you must do it, or you can waive it.
Well, my favorite is the commissioners have 2 freehold members that may be the same political party, but at least, well, we appoint 2 and at least 2 must be from the same.
Okay, so we've got some.
Generally, we count on the assessor's recommendation.
because they do have to have some similar.
And I think Greg is the one that has the qualifications, the level 3.
Pearson and Able both would.
See what?
I said, wouldn't Pearson and Able
Oh,
both, whatever.
Pearson has a.
He's licensed.
He has a license in appraisal and that sort of thing. But, has he?
He may not have gone through this.
Through the training for the level 3 appraiser assessor that the state assessor board awards.
He may not have, it's probably right.
I had spoken with Greg Abel, he's gonna go ahead and be reappointed, or he's gonna request to be reappointed, so.
He's a council appointment?
Yes. I spoke with him Friday night there, so.
All right, tourism, Diane Opinions. And TRICAP, I'm on that board currently. So. Oh, yeah, Ken Sikar accepted on 11/10. He said he will continue in solid waste. I thought I didn't reach out to him.
Is that the commissioner?
I think it's states and statute though, it has to be one of the biggest cities and then it can be Huntington or Hartford.
Yeah, the mayor of the largest city, which is Mayor Monroe, he's on there. And then a mayor or council representative from another city that is not the largest city, or another city or town that is not the largest city.
So.
I think it's the way it says it, yeah.
Here's another one, this was not on the list, but this will need to be taken care of. Ben Schwenk sent me an email, or I think left me a voicemail, that he's going to submit his letter of resignation from the Huntingburg Airport. He hasn't been doing it real long. And it's not that he even necessarily wants to get off of the board, but he started doing flight instruction at the airport. So now he's sort of an employee, so he can't be on the board. Well, he can't be, their attorney said he can't be. So he will need to reappoint that one as well, so the Huntingburg Airport. So I guess at this point, we'll just hold this over to the next meeting, put it on the agenda again for 15 minutes, if you would, please. And we'll look at it again. That will give Cerise time to get this under her, and we can move on from there. Does that sound like a fine plan?
Yep. And again, as far as covering for me, it's just those two that somebody's gonna have to take, and you may have to fight these guys for them if you want it, or they fight you for it, or whatever. I could have pointed out too, the Patoka Regional Water and Sewer, there's not another lady in the room, ever. So, there maybe ought to be, I don't know.
And as a small business owner, I think Du Bois Strong might be a good one for you.
Okay, that's that. We've got treasurer Dropbox to discuss. I think we'll just move that to the next meeting. I think we're all on board, right? That was a fine idea. We just need to get it squared away where it's gonna be. So we'll work on that for the next meeting. Downtown Fitness 5K, we have where are we at here? They wanted to request use of the public restrooms for the Turkey Trot 5K on Thanksgiving morning, November 24th, from 6:30 to 10 a.m. And I believe this is the one where my response to them was, please make sure the bathroom's clean when you're done and check it out during your event. They said they have no problem doing that. So I would be okay with approving this. So the requesting party is Downtown Fitness and Running, and Jamie John is the representative for that. So I'll move that we approve the request for using your restroom. Second. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Do I need to ask or tell Scott about this, or?
I usually send you these when you guys approve them.
Sounds good. Next up, we have the Greater Downtown Jasper Business Association request to use the area of the courthouse facility for the Santa House on the southwest side of the courthouse from November 22nd through December 30th. And this will be for the visitors that come up there during the holiday season. And they have turned in their certificate of liability insurance. Anybody have any, I move that we approve?
I'll second.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. I have no other business.
I don't have anything additional.
Public comment? Attorney?
No, sir.
Auditor? Highway Department? Commissioner-elect?
I'm good, I'm good, I'm good.
Got some calendars up here for you.
The service agreement, top, that's my copy.
That's your copy. I have mine and.
I'm gonna give it to Teresa unless you have one already. That's, the top one is the service agreement that we just agreed to, and below that is the, for the.
I did
the Nazi notes.
You know what they did? We did get this in the mail.
We'll